Uh,
Yeah, I don't see the video. The stream, that is.
Okay. Should be any moment now.
Oh, Princess Jellyfish, yes.
Okay.
I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it up.
You're seeing it up?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, I see it as well.
Okay. I don't quite see it, but I think I'm on the wrong spot.
I am currently in the stream.
That's wonderful. Can you say something in chat?
Like right or
Yes, right in chat.
just a moment?
Okay.
I'm writing.
Okay, I'm not seeing.
We watch
anything,
anime
so I am
for
in
the
the
hype,
wrong spot.
the
Jeff,
fantasy,
shut up.
the
Shut
laugh.
up. Okay. Started playing a video for some reason.
Okay. But yeah, I can see your comment, Tom.
Yeah, it's up for me too.
Yeah. Live. Go here. Click that. Don't play that. Playing that is bad. We pop out chat. Put that over there, and we're good. Hello, everyone! Okay.
Hello.
Let me... Yeah, I was just about to do that, Tenek, thank you. Alright. Hello, lovely members of the Explanation Point Anime Club. Welcome to our March offerings on this, the lovely 30th of the 3rd month of the year. My name is Bryant. You better know me as Explanation Point. To my right, over there, is someone. That's Tenek.
Yeah, that's me, I think.
Down here is my lovely wife, Mariah. This is
Hello.
her pick.
That's
and
me.
Down
Hello.
here, right over there, that's Tom.
Hi.
These are some of my patrons. If you would like to get in on this Discord call yourself, you can go to patreon.com/explanationpoint to find out how, link in the description. Today we're going to be talking about Princess Jellyfish. That was my lovely wife's pick from last month. It's a beautiful show from a year. Princess Jellyfish
2010.
release year.
2010.
2010?
2010. Yeah.
Okay, I was getting a lot of different answers. 2010 is when, yeah, the anime released. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
From 2010, about being yourself and saving your decrepit apartment building from destruction, and making dresses, and loving Chinese history. Far too much. Far more than any person should ever love anything.
This is about a lot of things.
It's about Chinese history and traditional dress and jellyfish, of course, and really
trains.
old men and trains. Did I get everything?
Yeah, I guess that's it. Pretty much.
All right.
Traditional Japanese dolls.
Oh, fashion.
Fashion's a big one.
Thank you for coming to the Anime Club. We'll see you next month. All right.
I guess you could throw in drawing.
Drawing jellyfish, and
But
only
if it's
jellyfish.
Drawing
jellyfish.
Only jellyfish.
This is about a house full of neurodivergent women and one neurodivergent teenage girl, living, I don't want to say their best lives, but definitely living lives.
Lives that make them personally happy.
Do they? Do they really?
That's a bit debatable, yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
don't
yeah,
think they're happy.
That's debatable.
They say they're happy.
Do they?
They think they're happy,
I would
but they seem
say
pretty miserable in a lot of respects.
I would say they are very narrow-mindedly happy.
They
Yes,
don't
but
act happy.
At the beginning of the show, whenever Tsukimi's kind of running down everything that they do and how they live, they all seem very happy with that setup.
Sure. Sure, I believe that.
I think probably I would probably say, because like you see over the course of the show that they have experiences that do, bring them out of their comfort zone, that do make them happy. But I think the things all of them are very nervous and panicky constantly, all the time. But I think the things that they have that they are neurodivergent about that make them happy make them really happy.
I'm not so sure about that. I think some of them are very happy with it.
I guess that's fair.
I don't know. It's a very shallow kind of happiness, I think. Like,
Absolutely.
as somebody who also
Yeah, I
gets
mean, I think-
obsessed with things and dives into them quite deeply for a while, I wouldn't say they make me happy so much as they satisfy me. Like, I'm very content to spend time on these things and not eat. But they
Yeah.
don't produce happiness. There's no long-term, like, satisfaction
Fulfillment.
involved.
Yeah.
But there is a level of happiness with having an obsession like that and being around people who aren't constantly ridiculing you for it.
Sure. No, you're
There is
right.
probably also a happiness that comes from the community that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Just having a safe space that they feel okay in with their their whatever they're on about.
Which is going to be one of
Um,
the absolute best things about this show.
Yes.
Because it's going to show both how that's very good for them in some ways, but also how it completely destroys them in other ways.
Mhm. It is just nice to be around people, though, who are like, I don't understand exactly what you're saying about trains, but I'm happy for you.
Yeah, no,
And I
please
will
go
get
on.
you those pictures.
Go on about how wonderful this particular train car is. I literally never would have thought about it.
I understand the passion because I have that passion for other things.
Yeah, for weird old
But-
men.
Don't
Yeah.
get it. You're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it very, very early on, it establishes like these guys are like they're not even just like friends; they like rely on each other to be able to.
They're a sisterhood.
Exactly. Yes. To be able to
Yeah.
to express themselves about the shit that they like, which I thought was, I mean, just to start out the show like that was so wholesome, but also you could very quickly see how it's like, oh, these guys are. I don't want to say like they're freaks, but like they are.
Codependent
like-
is a word.
A little culty.
Yeah, they're a little culty. I mean, the one girl being able to, the Afro girl being able to tell you what train it is by the sound of their horn from like 20 miles away. You're like, okay,
Mhm.
that's a little much.
But I'm happy for her.
But happy, absolutely. But
because
like,
on the
why
one
do you know
hand-
that?
On the one hand, like, you see that this person has an unreasonable knowledge of trains and public transportation. And you're like, okay, that's a little obsessive. But if somebody could do the same thing with, like, birds, that's kind of cool, right?
Is it? I guess it's.
Isn't that
I mean,
cool,
I feel like-
guys? Like, if you could hear, for example, like, a red-breasted tanager, like, really far away.
If someone were to say, "Hey, I found an osprey yesterday and it was really cool."
Guys, I found an osprey yesterday. It was really cool.
Are those real birds? Can I ask that?
An osprey?
Yeah.
Yes, an osprey is a real bird.
I've never even heard. I don't know birds like that, so like.
But, like,
I think
Yeah,
I
me
think
neither.
you're making your point pretty well, but I would probably also say like good for you, awesome, but like how do you know that? Why? How?
well, it's just like the point I'm trying to make is that there are some hobbies that people are cool about that with, and there are some hobbies that aren't. Like, I thought that birding was a pretty well accepted hobby. If somebody
I
said, "Yeah,
don't
I go bird watching
know.
on the weekends," people
I
would
mean-
say, "Oh, that's cool."
I think that's
mean-
cool in a cultured sense.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, you
Okay.
say, oh, this is a learned person. This is someone who appreciates, like, patience and
But
details and nature.
I would also say that about trains.
See, I
I
don't
would.
think most
I
people
wouldn't.
would. I think
I
people would treat train stuff like that in the same way they treat people who memorize, like, the sports stats of players in some obscure baseball league from 35 years ago.
yeah.
Go
I mean,
ahead,
I
Frank.
feel like I feel like trains in particular are a bit, I don't know how to put it nicely, like autism coded. Like
Mhm.
there's a strong social like association between those two things.
Yeah.
Whereas
Absolutely.
birding, I mean, birding is very neutral. I've never heard anyone talk about it in a way that's supposed to be either positive or negative.
Right.
So
I mean, I
I've
don't
only
mean to
ever
say
viewed it
somebody's
as
gonna
like
be like, oh man, that's so awesome that you can identify birds from their calls. But they're gonna be like, oh, that's neat. They're not gonna be like, why can you do that?
I feel like the connotation I get from birding is always like that's an old man's hobby.
Sure.
Like old men go walk around the park with binoculars and see what birds they can find because they
Mhm.
have nothing else to do.
Well, I mean, you can
Yeah.
you don't have to be old, and you don't have to have
No,
nothing else to do. Like,
I know. I don't. I'm saying that's the like social connotation from birding that I've always gotten
yeah,
as
I
an
think
American youth.
Scrubs got it in the chat. Birds equal cultured, and trains equal autism diagnosis.
So maybe it's just me, but I would also like I guess I understand the connotation behind trains, but I also see trains as cultured. Like
Well, that's
I get
because
the
you're
general
enlightened.
sure, maybe, but like I think most things fall into categories like that where it's like if it's if it's really I don't know. If it falls into the category of like even remotely athletic, like about a sports team or something like that, you'd say that's like cool. It's still nerdy as all hell, right?
Yeah,
Because like
that's
why do you know all
mainstream
this
nerd
stuff?
shit.
Yes, but it's still considered like quote unquote cool. Um the bird watching and trains, I think most people, at least with bird watching, maybe trains I'm off base with, but like I think most people are like, oh, that's cool, but just in a completely different type of way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all relative.
Uh, I forget exactly what got us on this red-breasted tangent,
Because we
but
well, I mean,
okay, all right.
hey, thank you, professional.
it's a show about otaku women living together.
Mhm.
I think it only makes sense.
Yeah,
We
like
were
Talking about
talking
accepted
about
hobbies and not
Mhm.
accepted
Yeah.
hobbies.
yeah, like I don't think anything. I don't think the extent to which these people are into the things that they are into is bad, except for Three Kingdoms lady.
Oh, but yeah, she was the worst.
Mayaya,
Yes.
bad person, bad at being a person.
I would also say though, like she is the most I think out there and just all over the place and like crazy, but she's also my favorite of the girls in the house.
Mhm.
So
What?
Well,
How?
she's
Yeah.
the one with the
Why?
most character.
yeah, she was the most who was just like yeah, she was the most exciting. Like almost never knew what she was going to do.
Mhm.
She's
And
also like
even
in the
though
most scenes. Like
Yeah.
Gigi is never there.
oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Um
we don't get a chance for old man girl to be our favorite
yeah, but
unless you're just into her deal.
we get the most personality out of Maya.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she was my favorite because she was at least of the I mean Tsukimi aside, obviously. Like I loved her the most, but
Right,
out of everybody else.
the one who's a more complex character than the others.
She's
yeah.
also like Maya is also the caricature out of all of them.
Yeah,
Like the rest of them could be people. If Maya was a person, she would be in a
insufferable.
facility.
Look, I have met Mayayas before, and
Yes, me
depending on
too.
the specific micro obsession we're talking about, I have been a Mayaya before.
I'm not even talking about her obsession. I'm talking about her just
Her
chaotic
attitude.
behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like
Um,
she is not functional as a human being.
Yeah, Church Tucker in the chat
Yeah.
says
Exactly.
trains being an autism trait is more of a UK thing. It's also very common in Japan. Japan, at least the Japanese media I've consumed, there's a big stereotype of the train / public transportation otaku is a sub, like, what is the word I'm trying to think of? A sub-trope of just the otaku character trope. It's probably got its own, what the fuck is the website I'm trying to think of?
Like,
Are you saying
Wikipedia
that
page?
Japanese people
TV
think
tropes.
of?
It's got its own TV tropes page.
Oh, its own TV tropes.
But are you saying like Japanese people think of otaku as autistic in general?
No, but like this might be controversial. I'm saying maybe they should. I think there's a lot of crossover in that Venn diagram. But I'm not a psychologist, so don't listen to me.
Yeah, I respectfully don't know enough about this topic.
Right, for sure. What I was saying is that the character trope of the public transportation enthusiast is one of the more common types of otaku in anime, at least.
Is that I've seen it before. I don't know how common it is. I guess it's enough of a trope if it's been done at least,
if you've
multiple
seen
times. But
if you've seen it in like more than one thing, I think that there's grounds to say, okay, this is a thing.
yes, yeah, absolutely. But I was gonna say maybe it could be borrowed, not necessarily borrowed culture, but it could be like cultural influence from our side, like the Western side of trains, being like, because we have train enthusiasts out the wazoo over here for whatever reason.
That's a really interesting thought, that there might be like some sort of Western philia associated with train otaku in Japan.
That's what not that I necessarily got the sense from this show that was happening, but I think overall that there might be a case that you can make.
My guess is that wouldn't be the case. If anything, I think it would be the opposite, because Japan as a country is very, very proud of its public transportation system.
Yes.
So I think that people who are super into the public transportation system would be more likely to be like, yay, Japan, when it comes to trains, not, oh man, cool point. American trains.
That's a good point.
None found.
Yeah, I guess the only case you can make is that we have more different types of trains over in the
not
West.
That they wouldn't be into American trains.
Exactly, yeah.
But they wouldn't be into trains as an American thing.
Yeah.
Not that they are an American thing, but you know what I mean.
So trains, guys, we love them.
Welcome to ExPoint Train Club.
Yeah, that's what you came for, right?
Mm-hmm. All right. So we've gone into a little bit of these characters. The character we haven't talked about is Kuranosuke. Well, I mean, we haven't talked about Tsukimi
the main
either,
characters.
Really. Yeah, we haven't talked about Tsukimi at all. I mentioned her once.
We talked about the group as a whole.
Yeah.
But we haven't mentioned Kuranosuke at all. And Kuranosuke is the character who makes the show what it is. You can't have Princess Jellyfish without the Jellyfish Princess himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Kuranosuke was probably my favorite character, in just the sense that he was definitely the most complex, I thought. Even in like just like little stupid things, like the fact that he was like, "Hey, I'm really into fashion, but also I dress up as a woman to piss off my dad." Like, so like, yeah. I thought he was really cool. He was really fun.
Absolutely.
Oh, God.
Kuranosuke is one of the, I don't want to say complicated, but he's one of the most layered and interesting characters that I've ever seen in a show like this.
Yeah, I mean, like, the way that the narrative also approaches Kuranosuke, like, introducing him, of course, as a woman, like, and then like slowly unraveling bit by bit by bit, like how many layers there are to why he does this.
Yeah.
Was like it's a mystery in its own, you know.
I love the way this show presents Kuranosuke in his favorite outfits, and like as it goes into his relationship with gender and his particular issues with being a man, it eventually strips all the layers away and it boils down to he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
He's totally cool with being a man. He's a guy.
Yeah.
He loves being a guy. He just also likes pretty dresses and he wants to wear pretty dresses.
Yeah,
And he likes
exactly.
pissing off his dad. His two main
yeah,
hobbies
Pissing
are
off
wearing
his
pretty
dad.
dresses and pissing off his dad, and they go very well together.
I don't even think pissing off his dad has
Sure.
much to do with it. I think pissing off his dad is just a fortunate byproduct of
Mhm.
him doing whatever he wants to do,
Yep.
which
But
is
I
wear
don't
pretty
think that's the
dresses.
case. I think it is one of the central reasons because he did explicitly say like he finds politics boring. He doesn't want to be stuck in that business by virtue of inheriting it in any way.
Mm-hmm.
If he has to do something to put it off to not have to do what he's told to do, he's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
I
so
think
much the better if he's gonna be pretty like his mom.
I think to
But-
Mariah's point, it is both things, but it's like a fortunate circumstance. Like it's an out. It's his out, right? To be like, hey, I can wear pretty dresses and I can totally get away with it because I'm doing it for this XYZ reason, so people won't think I'm, doing it for no reason. At least it's just because I like pissing off my dad and I don't have to do anything, right? It's a win-win situation for him. He
Yep.
gets to do whatever he wants.
I think if we
Yeah.
look at it like chicken and egg situation, he wanted the dresses first. Like he loved the dresses whenever he was 5 years old in those flashbacks with his mom.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
cool.
came first, and then later he discovered I hate all of these things that I'm expected to do. I just want to wear dresses, and apparently wearing dresses gets me out of it. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
A fantastic situation to be in as a young man.
Also, so based, man. I love this kid.
Nope, Scrub
Like-
is absolutely on point here. So base.
Oh yeah, yes. Scrub literally just said so based. Yeah, absolutely. I love him so much just for the fact that like he just does not care like at all what anyone thinks. He's just gonna do whatever he wants, and like obviously he's been afforded the position to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he's taking advantage of that to its fullest is like I was like, oh, absolutely, hell yes.
He does not care to his detriment what people think.
Yeah,
of him.
I was
Like,
gonna say his level of not caring is not even shown as like this perfect trait or this thing that everyone else should try to have,
Mhm.
because it messes up his relationships
Yeah.
just as often as it helps him create them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely.
No.
And the fact that he is quite literally just a viber. Like he's going completely off vibes and is like, I don't want to hang out with my old fashioned friends anymore. I'm gonna hang out with these weird girls in this
Communal.
this
home.
weird apartment house. Yeah, like and he's like, it's fine. Like this is cool. I literally don't care.
Mm-hmm. Like the scene that sticks out to me most when it comes to Kuranosuke not giving a shit about anyone, in a bad way, is when he's in Sakimi's room and he's just like taken off his outfit and he's just chilling in his makeup and his boxers.
Yeah.
And she comes in, she's like, "Holy shit, what are you doing? Why are you naked in my room?" He says, "Oh, get over it."
Literally.
Can you
and it
imagine
happens multiple
having that
times.
level of confidence? Just like, I'm gonna be naked in your house, deal with it.
Yes, actually, I
Yeah.
could. But I honestly, because I didn't know much. This show has always been like a thing that I knew I had to watch
Mhm.
eventually. So I'm glad this is like letting me get it out of the way. But I was always under the impression that it was like because everybody talks about how like LGBTQ plus like friendly it is,
And it is,
and it is,
I guess.
but I thought it was going to lean more into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought
Gems.
I
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
he
I
was-
had the exact same impression.
I thought I
Also
was
high
going
stars.
into this expecting him to be trans,
Right,
and then
of
when he
course.
wasn't, I was like, "Oh, this is actually this isn't even about a trans character. This is about femininity. Like it's more about what it means to be a woman or whatever."
Mhm.
I think it's
rather or
less
to
that the show
To be
is
buoyant.
LGBT friendly or not. I think it's just that the show is friendly to being a person,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
includes like
that
anything.
exactly that includes everybody.
It's
I-
friendly. It's friendly to gender presentation. In like it encourages cis people to dress like Kuranosuke. Like it shows a cis person not portraying his gender in the way that he was told to, and that is queer friendly.
Yes.
But that's
Yay.
not like the crux of the show
No.
or
No.
what it's trying to
Which
say.
makes
What
it
the
even
show
better.
is trying to say is do what makes you happy, but also be kind to people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just what kind of my impression was going in, and then just from what I've heard. Yeah, but yes. Also, hi Jams, how you
Hi,
doing?
Jams. What's up?
Alright. I'm doing pretty alright, I guess. I was asleep because I was very tired.
I
Then I
figured.
woke
Yeah,
up.
that's fair.
We're gonna turn your volume down a little bit.
Hmm?
Okay. Turned your volume down a little bit.
Honestly,
yay. I had to turn
I
yours
want to
up.
comment on it. Since we were talking about exactly like how like LGBTQ themes come into the show, I think it is mostly like the external circumstances, like the fact that this show won, or like two other shows that are like more popular by a significant margin on Mel. That made me expect like, okay, the woke liberals chose this show for this month.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, like what kind of pro LGBTQ message or themes is gonna have. Then by the end, I was kind of surprised that like it didn't seem like it latched onto anything very concrete.
Yeah, I do
I'm not
agree
sure.
with that. A lot of the message of Princess Jellyfish, I think, is vibes based. What do we think of that?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Like it doesn't concretely lay down any kind of moral to the story. It's just a very vague be good to each other, do what you want to do, don't hurt people, and respect the history of your neighborhood, I guess.
I kind of agree for the most part. I think there is something to be said about feminine presentation,
Sure.
and what that means, and for, I guess, I don't want to say necessarily femcells,
Mhm.
but I don't have a better word for it.
But they are femcells. They're literally
they-
femcells.
I
I
mean,
don't feel
no,
like
they
you should
aren't.
be ashamed of
I
saying
don't
that.
think that's the good word for it because
I
they
don't
have
think-
to be involuntarily celibate, and I think that they are perfectly fine with their level of celibacy.
Yeah, that's
I
why
don't
I'm
know.
like,
They
I
seem
don't
kind of
necessarily.
resentful about it, honestly. But go on. We can talk about this later.
I
as
think
well.
they're, well, yeah, sure, we can talk about that later or whatever. I was more saying about like these, these females who are kind of, outcasts to society. They think that they would not be accepted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of how they present, not feminine way. And then you have this person who comes in who is incredibly feminine and is incredibly accepting of them, even though they themselves are not an actual girl, but present that way. Like, I think the show was going for something, but again, that also was not super concrete. I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
like, I agree, it was very vibes based, but it was.
There's this thing that I thought about, like close to the end of watching the show, about that. I know this piece of trivia about the development of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but basically, one of Lauren Faust's thoughts she was making the cast was she wanted to like showcase this idea that there is no wrong way to be a girl, and in that way, I think there's this like she used that exact phrase, and I think there's this I think there's this bent to Princess Jellyfish about like it's this interesting like the whole show feels like a reassurance, and it feels like it's that idea if instead of like I want to instill this in small girls, it's I feel the need to say this because I didn't hear it and I want to give it to other people who are like approximately aged 18.
I think I disagree entirely.
Really?
I don't think the show is saying that it's wrong to present yourself the way that the people of the Sisterhood are. I think the show says if you're happy with that, then that's cool. But you have to remember that in many ways the Sisterhood is full of miserable people. Miserable, judgmental, socially outcasted people. And that one thing the show does with that is get them to change their appearance and talk to people outside their insular social group. I think that what the show is saying is that there are good things and bad things about being part of a very close-knit group like this. And while it's not about their presentation, the fact that they all only communicate with each other causes some feedback loops that make it difficult for them to talk with anyone else, and that manifests itself in their presentation, if that makes sense.
I think there's also something to say in that, in the fact that Kuranosuke comes in and accepts all of them and tries to help them better themselves the entire time, never being himself with them. Like, never. He doesn't have the freedom or the safe place to be given that back by them.
Because if they found out that he is not a woman, that the most feminine presenting person among them is not a woman, then they are going to freak out and reject him entirely. Because their insular social group has convinced them that men are bad.
So I think, to all of your points, there's some truth in there. There's a lot of truth in there. Because I think you're all kind of right in that. But just in the sense that, like, it is more, like, yes, like, Bryant is completely right about how the insular group itself is, like, not healthy for them mentally and, you know, tearing them apart. But at the same time, like, I think James is also right, because it's not necessarily saying that the way that, like, they experience their lives is bad. Like, the things that they are into, the things that make them happy, the things that they want to do is bad. It is just the fact that those things, because it makes them happy, it is being reinforced. Like, it's like learned helplessness or whatever it is, right? Like, they're being reinforced constantly by thinking, hey, we're outcasts, this isn't okay to like people are gonna think we're losers or whatever the fuck. So, like, yes, that is making it a toxic environment, but the presenting itself is part of the problem. Like, the presenting itself is the problem, because once they start presenting as more feminine, they don't get, like, straight up in the last episode, they all present feminine, and they're like, hey, we're totally fine out in public. Like, they don't even freeze up at all. And they're at this huge big fashion show, and it's no big deal. So I think it's a lot of things. That's why it's all vibes.
Right.
I think I agree with Tom. I don't think it's really presenting the otaku lifestyle in such a neutral way.
No. I think it's saying that there are good things and bad things. Like, I think it's saying that the close-knit love that the Sisterhood has for each other is a good thing.
Yes.
I don't see how anybody could argue that that isn't a good thing. But it's also, and one thing that I love about this show very much, it's showing how that otaku insular lifestyle absolutely destroys them in a couple of ways. And I think that shows like this often valorize the otaku lifestyle. And seeing this show the very bad parts of it is really cool. Like,
yes,
I keep thinking about Comic Girls when I think about this show. Like, there are a couple of different shows that feature this group home situation. Comic Girls and Astronaut from a couple of seasons ago was fantastic. But they always show, like, oh, this is a group of quirky people who found each other and now they're happy. In Princess Jellyfish, this is a group of quirky people who found each other and now they're miserable. Like,
This They're happy with each other, and
This
they're
is a group
miserable
of
about
quirky
everything
people who
else.
found each other. End of thought.
I think it is they are happy with themselves, as in like they are happy with their group, but miserable with society.
Yep. And being
Yeah.
happy with their group contributes to that.
Yes. It's cyclical. Yes, absolutely.
So back to the thing about female gender presentation, I just think it's very interesting that the most feminine presenting person among them is doing being a woman wrong, in the sense that he's not a woman.
Yes. Well, that's the irony of the show, right? That's where like the ironic premise of it comes from, right? But I think that is what the show is most trying to say. It is trying to say like, hey, the femininity, like, you are hurting yourselves by being in this scenario because you guys are just in an echo chamber where you're all just being like, oh, society, right?
Yep.
But once you actually have somebody come in and show you femininity, even in the like femininity in I don't want to say the most backwards form, but it is a man who is totally just a man and is comfortable being a man, presenting completely feminine.
I think in the most ironic form might be correct.
Sure.
Yes.
I like that.
That's yeah. The most ironic form coming in and doing this, right? And them opening up because of that. That is what the show is trying to say.
Yeah, like, I think we're getting a bit too bogged down in the fact that it's femininity specifically. I think it's more just self-confidence and extroversion than femininity. Like, I think more...
To some extent.
Huh?
I said to some extent.
Yeah, I think more than saying, like, I think more than Kuranosuke's femininity, the important thing is that he is confident in himself and he's knowledgeably confident in himself. Like, he has done a lot of conscious self-reflection and said, this is the kind of person I am, these are the kinds of things that I like, and this is how I want to present myself to the public. Whereas everyone else, everyone in the Sisterhood, rather, has done enough self-reflection to say, I really like traditional dress and dolls.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the show is encouraging them to say, okay, so how do you want that to be a part of your life? Because right now, they're just diving into it full bore. And that's fine, as long as you're doing it consciously, and thinking about how that affects the other parts of your life, and not letting it turn into a psychological complex.
I guess I just don't know where, because like I see this, like just thinking about this, I see this a lot. I guess Tsukimi like definitely falls into this crowd of like the Sisterhood being, but like she's the least worst of them about it.
She's the youngest and most impressionable, and she has been here for the least amount of time.
Yeah, I guess that. Yeah.
I think we need to remember that Tsukimi is 19. And 18. That 18, and everyone else in the Sisterhood is in their 30s.
Yeah, it's like way older.
That's something that doesn't get addressed.
At relearning how to be
in
the world.
It doesn't need to be addressed. I'm just saying it doesn't.
Okay,
and it's fun to keep that in mind. I don't understand what you mean, Lucy.
A show with 5 women in the main cast must be Yuri shit, right?
Must be Yuri stuff. But yeah, I guess, well, speaking of Yuri, I am really in. I don't know how the because the manga has been over for a while, but I don't know how it ends. But I really liked the relationship between Kuranosuke and Tsukimi. I was rooting for them so hard. And even though it turned into like a bit of a love triangle with the brother character, who I don't remember his name.
Shu?
Sure.
Straight up, it's very funny to me. This show's been haunting me since the 6th grade. I dropped the show when Shun became like a primary character, like when he became a primary character, because I like saw the love triangle situation, and I was like,
I'm
as like
so
just like
happy it, like
as a
it started going
13-year-old who
away
was like,
though.
no, I know what's good shows, and love triangles are not good shows.
I mean, you're not
Well,
wrong.
I think they can be.
I can count on one hand
they
the
can
number
be,
of
yes.
good love triangles I've seen.
Okay.
Listen, it's
I
not a
don't know
love
about that.
triangle because it's Kuranosuke and Tsukimi, and then Shun and dressed up Tsukimi, who is not the same
Yeah.
person because he doesn't think they're the same person.
This is 2 monogamous relationships.
Yes.
But I really liked how they like it started to seem like a love triangle, but it really like veered away very quickly.
I think it
I
is
thought.
veering away. But
Well, the last few episodes were basically exclusively dedicated to the whatever, I don't remember the other lady's name and the brother.
Oh, who
That
cares?
horrible woman.
Yes, the horrible woman to
dearly.
her. Yeah, but and then it was like she actually started liking him, and like
Did
that's,
she?
and then yes, that was clearly the point. That was
But while that was happening, he was still like daydreaming about Tsukimi.
Yeah, like it's okay. So I have this interesting read of him where I have an I guess like I have this read of his character where I'm like, I think this character is objectively more interesting if you read him as Ace.
Sure. But then
it's
you
like-
get into problematic
Sure.
portrayals of ace people where asexuality is the result of sexual trauma, which sure
No, in my
does
brain,
sometimes happen.
in
Anyway.
my brain, this read is like he is Ace. He has always been Ace, and like he and most of the people around him are just like wrong about like the cause and effect of why he got freaked out so bad about the
Sure.
about like seeing his dad cheating on his mom, because it wasn't like in my brain it's just like he got freaked out so bad by that because he is that flavor of Ace where he's very sex repulsed, and so
grody.
like just seeing his dad not even getting to second base but like knowing like this is the thing that's happening, and then
Mhm.
also hearing growing up it's like you'll like this eventually, he starts like avoiding girls entirely,
No.
like in a romantic sense, and then
yeah.
I do think that's really funny because we never see Shun thinking about that scene. We only see other people thinking about it happening and interpret what they think its effect was. Like we never see him even like think about it or bring it up whatsoever. Like from his perspective, maybe he just forgot. Like it's just not a thing, and it's something that everybody keeps putting on him because they're like, this dude should have a girlfriend by now. Let's invent some trauma for the reason that he doesn't.
Mhm.
Sure.
That is really
do-
funny, and I think it would be very Princess Jellyfish.
I like
Yes.
that you.
Only brings it up because Kuranosuke keeps wanting to bring it up, and he never does because he doesn't. He thinks it'll be awkward, and it's really funny to imagine one does bring it up, and he's like, "What are you talking about?
But he
I
is
saw
very,
what happened. I was
like,
5."
He is still very clearly into women, though. Like,
Well, yeah,
think
he's into
it's.
Tsukimi.
I think, but he was also like by the end of the thing, with like by the end of the show, he seems like he's kind of into the I don't even
The
know what you would
developer,
call her.
Akiko?
The developer, yeah, sure.
He's being
right?
manipulated to be into Akiko, which doesn't mean he's not.
Yes,
like
he
she's
is
toying
being
with his
manipulated,
emotions constantly.
Mhm.
But those to him, those are real emotions.
Well, they
He
are
does
real
not-
emotions.
Yes, he does not realize he's being manipulated. To him, it is completely real. And by the end, it seems like it's real on her part too. After the whole slap, and him being completely terrified that he had thought she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
I also think
I-
part of it is just that he's terrified that he did something because he doesn't remember what he did. And he doesn't want to be the reason that she killed herself because did some stuff he doesn't remember
Mhm.
and then rejected her. So he has
Yes.
to make sure that that's not what happens because he can't live with that.
Mhm.
Wait, sorry, Tom. Did I misunderstand you, or did you bring that up as like an example of him being clearly into women.
I think it was by him like um being around her, the amount of times where he like blushes and is like nervous and is like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like it's because he doesn't know how to act around women because he's uncomfortable because he is into them and doesn't know how to act.
Exactly.
He's um he's romantically into women, like absolutely. If that extends into a sexual into women, I don't know. Like I don't think there's evidence for that half. I think there's definitely evidence for the romantic part.
I guess that's fair. You know.
He like sees Tsukimi as like this very like she's very like modestly elegant in this way, like like when they're out together looking at jellyfish, she talks about jellyfish constantly, and then she starts crying. He's like, I must comfort her, and then like and he gets like he's like, oh god, I made her uncomfortable by overstepping her boundaries because she was crying, and like why would a man she just met hugging her as she is crying comfort her in any way? That's crazy of me. And that's and it's like it's this interesting thing of like straight up he has that fantasy like post assault and he's thinking like he's daydreaming about like running away with Tsukimi to a beach to hear her talk about jellyfish a bunch, and she's just running across the beach, and he has this like horrible like he gets like slammed out of it by like just this horrible vision of developer lady like leaning over his shoulder like she'd never forgive you for having sex with me, right? And it's like the idea that like now that he is tainted he can't have that anymore, which is like ow. But okay.
Which is very Aloe Ace.
Well,
Sorry, I feel like you lost me. What's the point you're making with this? With bringing this
My
up?
point is that like his affections for girls have little to nothing to do with sex.
When he goes to see Tsukimi after the assault, like all he asks is for her to hold his hand. And like when I turn her glasses and he sees her and she's freaking out because she's in a ratty t-shirt and no bra, he is just confused because that's not the person he came to see. Like he had not even clocking those things.
Yeah, but could it also be because he, I mean, whether he is ace or not, like he just doesn't know about, like he is a virgin. He does not know how to handle sex at all.
Sure.
So like encountering sexual scenarios is not in his mind at all. He doesn't know how to react. So walking in, seeing somebody in their bra, he's like, well, I saw this, time to go. Like whatever, this isn't the person who I'm here to see. Like it doesn't matter, because on top of that, like I guess the way that he also presents, which is very like stoic and just like silent and just like I'm even keel at all times. He doesn't seem like the person to overreact to most things, whether or not he sees a person in their underwear or not, right? Because he comes out of the what is it called? I guess the drugging. He got drugged straight up. And he's in bed with this woman and he's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Like everything, like he's confused and bewildered. He's a man.
Stonewalls everything she says.
Yeah, it's like I need to go. Like he just doesn't even know how to react. So I wonder if it's like because Ace could be obviously it could be something you could attribute to him, but I think you could also look at it in a couple of different ways too.
No matter what it is, I think it's just a interesting portrayal of the type of man that he is in general. Because he's older than Kuranosuke, right? He's like late 20s, maybe.
I think he's 30.
30. So a 30-year-old attractive man who has always lived in the political sphere, having absolutely like no idea what to do in sexual situations or no experience whatsoever is interesting, no matter what the reason is.
Well, just because you would expect such a man to have a lot of sexual experience?
Yes.
You would
He's
expect him
30.
to have strong opinions about it beyond, like, no.
Even if he's not acting on it, you would expect him to have like more thoughts, experience like mentally, I guess. Like he is a 30-year-old man who grew up around his particular political family who is very openly like overtly sexual. He's attractive and he sees a girl who he is attracted to in her in with no bra in a tank top, doesn't even clock that fact. Like that is not normally how that type of character would be presented.
Yeah.
Especially in an anime. In an anime that would be a haha over the top nosebleed.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
this is also an anime that has haha over the top nosebleeds.
Yes.
So,
yes.
so it's very deliberate that this isn't presented that way. Also, I need to address Lucy in the chat real quick. My dude, Kuranosuke uses the most masculine possible pronouns.
Yes.
Like, it's like every time in the English dub where he's like, and this boy does it, yada yada, so and so forth. I was like, I think he's using like
ore,
like,
ore.
Yeah.
a boy, I get to wear a kimono. You can't see.
What does he say in the dub?
It says, not
Like,
this
instead of
boy.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tsukimi's like, oh boy, we're celebrating something.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
That was a very,
That's very
fun
cute in the
little
dub.
translation.
They did their best.
Yeah. Because
It made me laugh every time.
the ore joke in Japanese is so fucking funny.
Mm-hmm. No, I clocked
It's
what it
not
was
that
supposed
funny.
to be, or what it was in the sub.
Yeah.
And man, the dub team, they tried.
I thought
know,
it was
just-
really
very hard to
No,
translate.
No, they did a great job. Just they were working with something very specific and didn't have many options.
And quick tangent, just because we were talking about songs. The opening and ending for this show are so good.
Remarkable.
Mhm.
Holy
They
shit.
did.
Love is coming back, and I didn't believe
Love
that
is
before
coming
watching
back.
the show.
Oh my god. They got fucking Sambo Master to do the ending. Dude, holy shit. I popped off when I started hearing it. I was like, oh my god. But yeah, just because we were talking about music, I just wanted to bring that up. It's so goddamn good.
I did want to mention something specific in the ED, which is one little detail I noticed where with Tsukimi playing hopscotch all through the playground, and it does that cute thing where it shows everyone doing their interest across the playground, but then at the very end, it has Kuranosuke just jump onto the hopscotch board in front of her and finish it off.
Yeah.
Which was such a neat little detail.
That was very cute. Yeah.
Like,
It's also Kuranosuke like not in girl clothes or makeup or anything.
well, it's him as a child.
yeah, it's him as
Yeah.
a boy.
Mhm.
As a little
But
boy.
it's just, I think that that's interesting whenever it has everyone with their special interest, and Kuranosuke and Tsukimi do not have their special interest with them in the ending.
You could argue that
Also-
Tsukimi kind of does, because the whole thing is a chalk drawing. Like,
I
she's
guess,
playing
but
on
her
a
thing
drawing.
isn't art. Her
Right.
thing is
Jellyfish.
She
Mhm.
just is
Yeah.
also good at art, and so does art of Jellyfish.
Which is why I say
exclusively.
kind of does.
Yeah.
But
Something
no, Tsukimi and
also-
Kuranosuke being linked in that way in the ED is neat. But the thing I wanted to point out isn't just that he hops on the hopscotch board in front of her. It's how that sort of relates to his position of privilege, which is he is this rich guy with resources and social standing that will never be taken away from him no matter what. So he has the ability to just jump on the hopscotch board right at the very end and run it out. Like, he doesn't have to start from the beginning, and he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to do the boring bits.
Yeah.
He only wants to join
It's
the
sort
game
of-
once it's fun.
I
Um,
don't remember what
I
part of
also
the
am
show you're
thinking
talking
about how,
at
like,
all.
The ED. The ending.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I think about how, like, in a way, it's like she's like going on like this long little journey on this hopscotch board,
Mm-hmm.
and it's sort of like when we get to her in the first place, like it's established like she has learned various behaviors from her little sorority, and it's this idea of like as she like goes down the hopscotch board, she like picks things up from everyone she passes, and then she gets to him, he's already ahead of her, and it's just like this interesting thing of like it's almost like it's not like a journey of it's not like the hopscotch board is like supposed to be like a journey of growth, more just like it's supposed to be like it's like the direction that she is going, and then they start going in the same direction as opposed to everybody else who like she passes.
Yeah, I kind of interpreted it as like it's like this thing where she's going along, she's like meeting these these people along the way, she's getting her friends, it's all that, and then just like boom, out of nowhere this little kid comes through and just jumps in front of her and is now leading the way in their, what he says, in the show, their shared destiny, right? They're both going down this path now together, but he's going first because he's just that,
Well, he knows the way.
I guess. Yeah, he knows the way, and he's ready to go, right?
It's also interesting that Kuranosuke is the only other character in the ED who moves. Like, the others are animated, of course, but they stay in their spot. And Kuranosuke is moving forward, which I think really shows a bit of the show's philosophy of how the other members of the sisterhood are socially stagnated, and how Tsukimi, is actually sort of learning from Kuranosuke's advice and moving on with her life.
Yeah. I also like how innocent it is. It's, this girl, like, these kids playing hopscotch together, which I think also goes to, because I thought overall the show, while it is mature and it does tackle some, complex themes and complex emotions and stuff like that, it's all very innocent. It never like really gets bogged down in like, heavy-handed shit. Like you see trauma from Shu, right? But it's not
we see Shu's trauma from other people.
Yeah, you see Shu's trauma from other people, and it's not like him exploring it and being like, oh, this bad stuff happened to me, man. It's just like, oh, we think it's like played off almost like a joke, but it's not really.
It's like the events around it are like framed in a comedic manner, almost as if to like not necessarily slap the blow. I had this articulation in my brain of like this show kind of feels like getting like after having walked into a cactus or something, getting all of the prickles removed like by like a nurse in like a very like deliberate and like do you know what I mean? Like
not yet.
Like it's like
no, I don't.
Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
The show doesn't feel like walking into a cactus. What I mean is that like it's like the show feels like the experience of like sitting in like an ER or like not an ER but like just like a place where like you're definitively like safe from whatever it was, but it still hurts a lot, and so it's just like the experience of being like gently soothed by like someone. It almost feels like, I guess, Tsukimi's mom as a presence is supposed to feel to be watching the show. It almost makes no sense the things that I'm saying, but I promise I know what I'm talking about.
I'm following
I think I get what you're
along
going
now.
for.
Yeah, like I'm
so
I'm
happy
on
you
board.
could make it.
Just with the whole cactus thing, I was like, yeah, no, I just also like, I feel like there are so many things that are presented in the show as like bad or nasty or terrible things to happen or like go along with people, but it's presented in, I don't want to say, because it is taken semi-seriously, it's not all played for jokes, but it is presented in a really immature way where it's like, you know, it's not gonna ruin your life, man. Like we're all, I don't know. It seems it's kind of childish.
Together.
Yeah, I was refraining from saying that, but yeah, it's still kind of childish. It's still kind of like, I don't want to say necessarily like jovial, but
lighthearted.
It's optimistic.
Lighthearted, yeah, sure, yeah, maybe optimistic. So I think the ending also really reflects that with the childishness of playing hopscotch and leading the way and Tsukimi and Kurnosuke being kids and stuff like that. I liked it a lot. But also in the opening, all the references were really cool. Just because I could point and go, oh look, Sex in the City, right? But the Star Wars reference I thought was the coolest because it is specifically Kurnosuke as Luke Skywalker fighting against his dad, Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
As like rising up against that. I was like, oh, that's a nice little detail. I really liked that.
And then poor Tsukimi is the R2D2.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really got anything
Truly the MVP of that movie.
all that profound from the Star Wars segment.
I don't think it's profound.
I think it's more that they're the only father-son pair in the show, except for Shun, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, the opening was fun. I don't think I understand the significance of having it be a montage of movie references. Was that just
I don't necessarily know if there is.
The
I think it was just
itself
for fun.
has a lot of references going on. Like Kurnosuke is like regularly referencing like something. Like he's just like he's just like Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise people. Like we got like it's just like it's this really fun. I don't know. I think it's just like a fun like tonal element that has. I think it's just a fun tonal element.
I wonder if they reference in the manga more things.
Maybe.
And that's why they were maybe like some of those things were like cut out and they were like borrowing from, because I think they reference a couple things in the show itself, but nothing of like importance or significance to the opening, I don't think.
Because when you have an OP like this, of course you're gonna compare it to the Chainsaw Man OP, which is incredible. But also, the movie references in the Chainsaw Man OP themselves are not, like, they're paired well with the characters who are doing them. Most of them are changed a little bit in ways that make sense for Chainsaw Man as a show. Like, they're very deliberately chosen, whereas it feels like the ones in the Princess Jellyfish OP are just like, here are famous movie scenes. It would be cute to see these characters in these scenes.
Rain.
I think not to say that that's unfair, because I think the two comparisons can be made, but I think because Chainsaw Man relies so much on movie iconography and like the idea, like Fujimoto panels his manga like it is a film. Like that is something he does deliberately. So I think taking that and adding that element into the opening itself is awesome and it's great and it should be applauded for that. But I don't necessarily think that this opening, the Princess Jellyfish opening, is like worse in comparison. I think
Never said that.
I think okay, all right, that's fair. I just think the Chainsaw Man opening is doing something so awesome and so over the top that it's like it's hard to compare.
Like, I just think that the decisions in the Chainsaw Man OP were much more deliberate than the decisions in the Princess Jellyfish OP. And I think that the Princess Jellyfish OP was much more concerned with being cute and lighthearted and whimsical.
And fun. Yeah.
Which is fine. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something.
No. When I was talking about the Luke Skywalker like little thing, I just thought it was cute and fun.
And it is.
To have the guy who wants to piss off his dad be Luke Skywalker fighting against his dad as Darth Vader. I just thought that was fun, so that's it. That's all.
I loved. Nobody knows her name. I don't know why I'm looking up her name. Old man, girl, princess, jellyfish.
Yes, I.
Gigi.
E.G.
The one who never speaks in an
Gigi.
audible volume.
Gigi.
Which is so valid.
That is a really cute name for that character. But yeah, just Gigi's reaction to the Darth Vader reveal was really funny.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about that.
Both the opening and endings were I could not skip them.
Every
Ever.
single time.
I watched them every single time. Absolutely.
So I want to ask, while we're talking about the OP, do any of you know what like the wedding scene? What is that a reference to?
Oh, that's from
The
I think it's Mrs.
Graduate?
Robinson.
The Graduate.
The Graduate.
The
That's what it is.
Graduate. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen The
in my
Graduate,
head that
but
movie
that's
is
the
Mrs.
famous
Robinson
movie
because that's
with
a
the wedding
song,
scene.
but you know.
That's the famous scene, yeah. It's just
They reference that in Teen Titans as well, which is fucking crazy.
yeah, it's just a guy going and interrupting a wedding
Mhm.
because he's in love with the girl getting married.
Yeah, that was the first big movie to do the scene where a guy runs in
Yeah,
and says stop the
running
wedding.
in the middle of the wedding.
Yeah.
Wait, so is that like the show's way of suggesting that like the real winner is going to be Shu?
I think it's the show saying,
'cause the
I want to put the scene from The Graduate in the OP.
Mhm.
Let's put some characters in the scene from The Graduate.
But it's
Here's the
interesting
thing.
to not have that be Sakimi.
Yes.
It was the horrid woman.
Akiko.
Yes, the horrid woman.
The
I will
what
only
woman?
call her the horrid
I
woman.
thought it was Tsukimi.
No, it was,
was not.
Akiko and Kuranosuke.
Hmm.
It was very odd.
Which is not the love triangle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I
that's an
think-
interesting choice, and I'd like to know why they did that.
I think you could probably view that as like Shu sees his brother, who is very like attractive with women, like he gets along well with that. He can do whatever he wants with any girl that he wants. Like Shu sees this and he knows this, and so he sees the girl who has been after him this whole time, and that like it's kind of like, I don't want to necessarily say it's a metaphor because it feels pretty on the nose, but it's like Shu sees his brother as somebody who could get the beautiful woman that he couldn't. I think that is all that scene is necessarily trying to say. Like I don't think it's anything more than that. But we never even see Kurnosuke's face either. We just see like his side profile. So like I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be a big deal.
I don't think so either, which is my problem with the OP, but we've been over that.
Yeah.
But also, I haven't seen The Graduate, so maybe seeing The Graduate would make that framing make a little bit more sense.
Something, Mrs. Robinson, are you trying to seduce me?
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen it either, so I can I can only go.
I
off
only know
so much.
that line, and the song, I think maybe the Beatles recorded it. Do not quote me on that.
It was Andrew Jackson Jihad.
Ah.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
I'm referencing a different song.
About to go. Is that true?
No, Andrew Jackson Jihad had a song called People to the Reckoning where they reference the Mrs. Robinson song that I think the Beatles did.
I think so.
Anyway, do we have any more general notes about Princess Jellyfish? Because we haven't even really talked about Sakimi yet.
Oh, we haven't.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Mrs.
true.
Robinson is by Simon and Garfunkel.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right. That's a band I've actually
Garfunkel.
listened to before.
anyways,
I feel like something we didn't mention that like was, I think my general impression of the show is that like it tends to jump around a lot. Like it doesn't tend to have a focus either plot wise or character wise. I feel like it's a big reason as to why it feels like there's a lack of any developments really.
Really?
Yeah.
I very much disagree.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty linear.
I think it's very much like one after the other, like conflicts arise, and then either those conflicts are solved within the episode, or it's like kind of like a little bit of an ongoing thing, like with the
Yeah.
apartment.
No, it feels like every episode builds on the last one.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah.
also a lot of internal
Mm.
struggles, which sometimes can feel plotless, even if things are moving forward.
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know, like, I mean, it's hard for me to say anything specific, like right now, but I feel like even as regards the more concrete aspects, like the plot, it felt like there were like a lot of different threads.
Mm-hmm.
And like the one about the apartment especially just gets like resolved
Yeah.
in like a very, I don't know, I guess simple way at the end.
Everything gets
with,
resolved in a simple way at the end, and that sucks really bad.
I
Yeah.
feel like part of it is I think that the show probably expected to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was following the manga, which was laying down all of the roots for its further storylines. And so we're getting a lot of the beginnings of storylines that are tying together, and then the show abruptly ends. So I think like the manga for sure knew where it was going, and it was getting ready to take us there, and then we just don't get taken there because of the circumstances of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also wonder why that's the case, though, right? Because wasn't the manga going on, like, because normally that happens with like manga that are like currently going. Hadn't the manga been going on for a little bit before the show ever aired? Or am I
Yeah,
wrong
Princess
about
Jellyfish
that?
most
manga
manga
dates.
adaptations.
I mean,
Uh,
isn't it just an issue of it not getting a season 2? Like, it happens to a lot
Yeah,
of shows. This
Princess
isn't no exception.
Jellyfish was serialized in Kiss from 2008 to 2017.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
There were 2
2008.
years worth of
That's
manga.
almost exactly the length of Homestuck circulation.
Thank you, Stars.
Coincidence? I think not.
I just think that it's a
Homestuck also
story.
started in 2000.
It's a story that gives off the impression of knowing exactly where it's going to go and what it wants to do. But in a way that you really need to have all of it to be
Satisfying.
yes, to fully get what it's trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it was monthly, right? Or am
I
I
don't know.
mistaken on that one? Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Um,
I think it was serialized. It says in the OP serialized in Kiss, which I think is just one of those monthly
Oh,
shoujo
okay. Yeah. Well,
magazines.
I think Kiss is Jose, but regardless,
Mhm.
so that, but it like to me, I would think that they would have had enough. They would have had enough material to at least do more, because like 11 episodes is, you're cutting generally in 1 or 2 episodes off. It's normally 12 or 13 episode series, and there's only so many like 11 episode ones that I could even think off the top of my head, like Anohana, like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this happens with anime, but it gives me the impression of a show that got canceled before the season was over, and so they rushed an
I
ending.
don't think so.
No, that doesn't normally happen.
It-
I
but
didn't think so, but that's the
yeah.
feeling that it has.
I get what you mean.
If the manga started in 2008 and the show started in 2010, then if we're talking about a monthly serialization, we have 24 chapters, which is about 12 episodes worth of content.
Well, 24 chapters being over the chapters are longer because they're monthly, so like it would be.
I would be surprised if the manga went too far past the anime at the time.
That's fair. I guess that makes sense then. If it is 2008.
And it's October 2008. Like, at what time in 2010 was the anime produced?
October.
Yeah, so exactly 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so I guess, maybe they probably just wouldn't even have enough material, and they were expecting a season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they weren't. I have no idea. Like, what it was Brains based, right? Does anybody have that up on the studio?
Brains
Jellyfish.
I'm pretty sure it was Brains
Brains-based.
based.
Anime licensed by
Brains-based.
Funimation.
Brains based also did like Origairu and like Durarara and Bakano and stuff like that.
Mm.
So I don't know. They're a good studio, or at
Yeah.
least they were.
I don't really know much about him.
So yeah, I'm just a little. Although speaking of just talking about studios, I loved the direction of this show was awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, big
What do you
yes.
mean?
Like the
I think
shots and the transitions.
I think shots, transitions. I think just overall atmosphere and vibe of the show was amazing. I can't think of the last time I saw a show that had this many like quirks to it in its direction. Maybe the closest thing I could think of off the top of my head is like Bochi.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get that.
But because like I loved the direction of this show. There were just so many like little moments where just like little flourishes happen where it's just like weird shit. And I'm like, oh, I love that. It's goofy, it's quirky. So yeah, good show.
Yeah. I didn't notice that so much with this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Me neither.
I think my favorite shot has to be like she's sinking into the puddle as she's like having her spiral, and he just like transitions into the fantastical of her just like floating in an ocean, like I just want to be a jellyfish
Mm-hmm.
floating,
Yeah.
not feeling anything, and I'm just like, oh, baby girl, and it's like God, it's so
When she
good.
says, "I want my life to be lukewarm,"
That's it.
which is just such a good like I don't know sentence to chew on.
Yeah. There's for me one of the most memorable things, which I don't know, it's little, but like there's the point where Kuranosuke is like realizing that he like might have feelings for Tsukimi, and he leaves her in her room and he goes downstairs and you can just hear his heart beating while he's like talking to everybody. It's just like a background detail though, but because it's a background detail, it's just still so visceral to be like, it makes me anxious. It made me uncomfortable to be like, oh my god, like my heart started beating faster. Like I was like, oh god, like because you can empathize with those feelings,
Mm-hmm. No, I do
and to
remember
convey that. Yeah,
I
liked that a lot.
What I remember about that, not that it was a bad idea, but I remember that they zoomed in on Kuranosuke's face instead of redrawing the panel at higher res. And that stood out to me.
Yeah,
I didn't.
That is
my brain didn't like that.
Yeah. I get maybe because I do remember that happening also, but I was also so swept up with the heartbeat thing that I was like, I don't really care.
No, I do like that they have little flourishes like that. I do have to wonder how many of them were in the manga, because the one that stands out the most is the thing about the sisterhood turning to stone whenever they see anyone who isn't part of their cult.
Yeah.
And also, I love the little like to top 5 things that you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 today.
But every episode.
It wasn't every episode.
It was
I don't think it's
most of
every
the
episode.
episodes.
But I
There
think
were
it was
like
mostly
4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In my brain, it happened like 7 times, but I can't for the life of me think of 7 examples. So I'm like, I'll believe you.
What do you do for work? Are you virgins? Those are the ones that I remember.
And they were all number 1.
Yeah, because for that week, they were number 1 that week.
I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. When we get back, do we want to start going down the episode list?
Sounds like a good idea.
Sounds
About
wonderful.
time,
Okay. You all take this chance to get some snacks to everyone in chat. I hope you're having a good time. Please let me know how the audio is. And I will see you soon.
Wahoo!
Perhaps.
If you dare.
Hello, I'm back.
Hello
Hello.
back.
What's up?
Hello.
How's everyone doing?
Oh.
We've
It
been
was
sitting in
dead silence, uninterrupted.
Good.
almost uninterrupted.
Yeah, jams. Why'd you have to start singing at the end?
Well, he needed intro music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. True. Dang, I have just been looking at the My Anime listing for the show. There are a lot of good voice actors in this
Mhm.
show that I did not realize.
Oh.
I mean, I
Well,
recognize
it
some
has
of them.
it came out in the, 2000s to 2010, which means it was the same little grab bag of all of actors that we look back on and revere.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how it is for the dub. I'm looking at the sub.
Okay. Yeah, the dub
Yeah.
has Monica Ryle, Josh Grell, Maxie Whitehead that I can think of.
Colleen Clinkenbeard.
Yeah, I'm looking at Kana Hanazawa and Junichi Suwabe. Like those guys are very prominent. I mean, probably 2010 they probably weren't as big as they were back then, or as they are now rather. I mean, Hana Kanazawa was, but yeah, these guys kind of not even at the peak of their powers. They were just good voice actors for 2010.
The one that gets me is Tsukimi being played by Maxie Whitehead, which broke me for a minute. When Mariah mentioned that, I was sitting there watching the show, and I'm like, no, Alphonse, you can't live here. You're a boy. Don't you have better things to do right now?
But we've learned it's okay to be a boy.
Mm-hmm. It just means you can't live here.
Yeah, you can't live here specifically.
Also, we haven't learned that it's okay to be a boy, because the Sisterhood never finds out that Kuranosuke is a boy, and that's a problem.
But we know it's okay
Is
to
it-
be a boy, the viewers.
Well, I guess he does kind of lie to them. That's true.
No,
He explicitly lies to them.
yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I mean.
But it's not a problem in the narrative, it's a problem of the narrative. Like, you're setting this up as a conflict, and then you don't deliver on it. That's bad.
I mean, yeah, I suppose so. Like,
Well, I think
it
that's
set it
just
up as a conflict and then played it off as a joke by the end. Like, haha, look, they're so stupid they don't even realize that him being
think
flat
that's-
just means he's a guy.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be a byproduct of it not getting a season 2, because I would eat a hat. I don't have one with me, but I would eat a hat if they don't find out in the manga.
I have a headband. Does that count as a hat?
And like they just weren't there yet in the manga when this was being
Mhm.
made. And like it's not like that's something you can rush, like the anime team. They're not just gonna make that happen.
I mean, that's the biggest like central conflict in the series, right? Like
Yep.
that's what it's all building up to. So for the obviously I get both of your points where it's like for the anime, if it's just this, it is very disappointing to not, have the thing that it's been building up to, and then we don't get any more. It's just, the end of the series. But also the manga, clearly enough was not adapted. So
I also
Yeah.
like would rather this so that I can kind of ad lib an ending myself or read the manga than have the anime like make something up or rush that, because I do think that's going to be like obviously a huge deal, and I want to see that have the respect that
Yeah.
it deserves.
You
Yeah,
say
Than
absolutely.
just see something happen.
you say obviously the anime team can't ad lib that, but we watched The Promised Neverland together.
Is that
Yeah,
what
and
they
it wasn't
did?
good, was it? Do you want a still image slideshow at the end
A
of them
still image.
finding out
You know
and
what?
getting mad?
A still image slideshow of them finding out that
Wait.
Kuronosuke is a man
Wait, hold
actually
on.
sounds kind of based.
Is that what the Promised Neverland did?
Yes.
Did they really just
Wait,
add
They
you,
did
you
a
haven't
still
heard about the
image
Promised Neverland
slideshow
ending?
of
I
all
did
of the
not
main
even-
things that happened
They
that
have a
didn't
still
happen in
image
anime.
slideshow of Emma meeting God.
It's fucking horrible, yeah.
Like,
I watched
there's a
the first season of
3-second
that, and
still
that was
frame
it.
of Emma standing in front of God. Unexplained.
And it's like, we did it. We did it, gang.
Yeah, no, we watched it and we were baffled, and then I texted my friend who has read the entire manga, and I was like, "Who was that creature?" And she's like, "Oh, that's God." And I absolutely lost it.
I mean, people still didn't like the manga ending either, so I guess it's all fun.
Yeah,
it's
so
all
do
And you know
fine.
what? The
something
manga is
different.
also still
Change
images.
it.
But
No, you
What happened?
okay? You either because like I get it, you can just change it, right? But also people want the original ending, and if it's not the
You
original
just
ending,
said they don't.
No. In retrospect, they didn't. But like, because like, what about like Full Metal Alchemist? Full Metal Alchemist, the same scenario happened where they didn't, the manga was ongoing. They did the anime adaptation. They did their own ending. They did something different, and people were, I mean, in retrospect, people are mad about it. But like when the show came out, everybody was like pretty cool with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
But like now people are like, oh, don't watch 2003. It's garbage. Just watch Brotherhood, which I will always say that's the worst thing to do. But
I don't think
that's a
people
whole
are
nother
generally
topic.
against watching 03.
They very much so. I mean, the amount of conversations I have seen happen online about 03, people treat it like the boogeyman now. It's crazy.
It is very funny to me that like I was like, I won't watch Brotherhood deliberately because it seems like it came after the first one, and I don't know the context for this because I just saw them listed on Netflix as a middle schooler. So I was like, so I will watch the first one. And then I didn't finish it, but I stopped it quite literally the exact point where it like catches up with the manga and goes, anyway, we're gonna do something completely different.
Yeah.
And
Look,
so then like
I could talk about 03 and why it is still awesome forever. But that's not what we're here to do. I just wanted to bring up the ending is changed and people now don't like it. Now that after the manga got its own ending, people were like, "Oh, well this ending is, it's not as good as the manga ending, so it's invalid." And Brotherhood did everything right, so whatever. We love this series more. I just think if Princess Jellyfish did their own ending and tried to make something up, people would be. I think they would have been rightfully upset.
I also think that there's just not enough time in the 11 episodes for them to do it justice. Because some significant portions of other things would have had to been cut, and I don't think it'd be satisfying to do it in the first place, and I also think it'd be even less satisfying to do it if we cut anything.
You could make the case, though, that they did 11 episodes because they were catching up to the manga. But they could have done more episodes. They probably could have done 13 episodes if they were doing their own original ending.
I feel like the reason shows usually have 11 episodes because it's not like they can just say, hey, we're gonna do an anime and then have some nebulous number of episodes that they may or may not do. No, you go to the TV station and you say, we want 11 episodes worth of time slots. You have to say, we're gonna have this many episodes when you start your production. Yes. So they knew we're going to do 11 episodes, which to me says they have their story planned out and they're going to do it in 11 episodes. Otherwise, they would have done 12, the normal average number of episodes. Like, you can't just not do one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Can we start with the episode list?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
we are talking about the episode so much.
Mm-hmm. Episode 1 is called Sex and the Sisterhood. Tsukimi Karishita has an 18-year-old nerd living in... Sorry, that got me hard.
He's a fucking nerd.
Tsukimi Karishita has an 18-year-old nerd living in an all-female apartment building, Amamizukan, with other nerdy women. One day, Tsukimi, who has an intense love of jellyfish, tries to go to Shibuya for a jellyfish exhibit, but turns back when she becomes apprehensive at all the stylish girls walking around Shibuya. Later, when reminiscing about her dead mother, Tsukimi goes to see a spotted jellyfish she named Clara at a local pet store to cheer her up. She's shocked to find a moon jellyfish in the same tank, as this will eventually cause the spotted jellyfish to die. Overcoming her fear of talking with the stylish male shop clerk, Tsukimi tries to explain the imminent danger to the jellyfish, but is pushed back when she tries to enter the store. She bumps into a stylish woman outside the store who eventually reasons with the clerk to give Clara to Tsukimi since it will die anyway. They take it back to Amamizukan and put it in the bathtub for the night. The woman stays the night, and the next morning Tsukimi discovers the woman is in fact a cross-dressing man.
Oh my god. Da, da, da.
Crazy.
I love the first scene with the sisterhood. I think it sets up their entire deal so well, because it's both like, let's see the wholesomeness of these people, how Tsukimi brings back everything for them because they can't make the trip to Shibuya themselves because of the aforementioned anxiety and horribleness. But like how well they treat each other, how much they appreciate each other's company, while in the same breath the girls are all telling Tsukimi, never go to Shibuya again, you can't do it, don't even try, it's terrible, you'll just die. Like, it's just
like,
so
you'll
good
die
at
like a
showing
jellyfish put in the wrong tank.
the good parts and the bad parts at the same time. Like, this is what this community is about, and it just sets it up in like 2.5 minutes. It's beautiful, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't even talk about Hop to It Shop Boy, which is my favorite line from the entire show.
Shop boy.
Hop to it, Shop Boy.
Boy the shop boyer.
How do they do Kurnosuke's voice in the dub?
He talks like this most of the time. He's very haughty.
And then
Unless he
he
is
just
like
talks like this.
when he is like in.
And then when he's not.
Yeah, when
Like-
something happens, it's like, oh fuck, shit, damn it.
yeah,
Okay.
he loses the
All right,
little lil.
listen,
Essentially,
guys,
when
I
he
know
is
we've
girl,
talked
he has
about
tall
this.
vowels, and when he is boy, he has flat vowels.
I see. Okay, because the sub is a lot less overt, I guess. It's a lot less noticeable. He kind of talks
Yeah, I
the
feel like
same.
there wasn't really a difference.
Yeah, he
between
kind of
his,
talks the same
like-
overall.
No, there is definitely a difference when he's like got his guard down. He just uses his normal voice.
Okay,
Which
all
is
right.
really cool.
Like this, the tone, or I guess the pitch of the voice is not different. It's really just like the lilt to it that he uses, or
There's
like
an accent.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious.
This is kind of a weird question. What do we think about Tsukimi's obsession with jellyfish having a cause? Because I know we don't get the
It's fine.
backstories for the other members of the Sisterhood. Like, it's totally possible that, I don't know, a train killed Afro Girl's parents or something.
She really respects that.
Hated her parents, just threw them under
She was
a
like,
train.
honestly, trains, based. Killed my parents.
Took them away.
I mean, I think it works better this way, not just because Tsukimi is the main character, so obviously her interests like matter more for her characterization, but also because it's also not really a conventional otaku obsession.
Yeah, but
whereas
that's
like trains, old men, like free kingdoms, that's all pretty standard otaku shit.
yeah. Otaku are just obsessed with old men. There's so many old men otaku out there.
Okay, you poke fun, but it is a trope.
Have we seen it in at least 2 things? That's the criteria I laid out.
And I think off the top of my head, well, I couldn't even think of off the top of my head for the trains thing, so I don't know. But like,
My brother,
feel
that
like
doesn't count.
I feel like I have seen it before, where it's like girls are into older guys.
That's
I have
not
definitely
an otaku obsession. That's a kink.
No. I mean, like, well, okay, yes. This is like a hyperbolic version of that, I guess, where it's like, you know, like, oh my god, isn't that guy so hot? And it's just like this super old man. This is taken to the extreme of that, right?
No, Gigi has an aesthetic appreciation of elderly dudes. And
Yeah.
He does call them major hotties.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say she's not even really an otaku?
I think it goes beyond. I think it's like a sexual special interest, kind of.
So I can't.
Like,
But
takes a special interest
never
in
comes
her
across
kink.
I don't know, I
There's like
never
a
really feel
subtle
like
difference
those-
here. It's like there's something Venn diagrams. I put the hand on the board, on the conspiracy board. I know what I'm talking about.
The criteria for being in the sisterhood isn't that you have to be an otaku. It's that you have to be not stylish and you have to have one thing that you really like.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to be not stylish and a girl.
And a
I
woman.
think that,
Yeah, and a girl.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
one thing that you
specifically
really like.
cannot be a gay man. That's the one requirement
Yes,
we
but
learned.
also cannot be a gay man.
You can't be
Well,
a gay
because-
man.
They're not
What's the-
they're
for the-
not worried about men being attracted to them. They know that men will not be attracted to them. They just don't want to be around men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I've decided not to participate in society.
Mhm.
I've decided this.
On my own.
There's only
myself.
one place in the world that I have control over, and it's my home, and I'm going to control it.
I do wish they made a bigger deal. Like, I guess they make a huge deal out of it, but I wish they made a bigger deal about the fact that the place that they do have control over, where they have decided to sequester themselves away from society, is being taken away from them by society.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
And an extremely stylish woman.
Yes,
Bottom
and
text.
like they don't like it, obviously, because their house is getting demolished, and that's bad. But I feel like they don't make as big of a deal out of it thematically as they should. You know, like they
They're
don't
also
harp on
all-
it.
They're also
Well, wait.
all kind of dumb, said lovingly.
It just clicked to me.
They are not thinking
It-
about the consequences of these events.
So, it's like the only real antagonist in this whole show is like the businesswoman, right?
Yes. Well, Kuranosuke
Yeah.
kind of.
Isn't this whole show about like how Stacy's want to prey on femcells?
How
like, destroy their
Stacy's and
livelihood?
femcells. I think those are fairly narrow boxes. But
You can think of
no,
better
I
categories.
feel like you're looking at this from far too much of like a romantic sexual perspective. If that's what you're getting out of it. It's more of a
maybe, like, I'm not
mainstream
using the best
society
term.
versus niche society
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Yeah, right. Like the normies oppressing the otakus.
I'll give
something
you
to that
normies.
extent.
Okay, but can I just point out that Stacy's oppressing femcells is a really funny sentence.
And you too could be part of this Discord call if you go to patreon.com/explanationpoint. Link in the description.
Just like
Can
on its
you make
own.
me shut up?
Yeah, I kind of I kind of agree with
I have some
The
important,
oh, go ahead.
just one important thing real quick. I looked it up, and the word Stacy originated around 2011.
The word
Go
Stacy?
Oh, as an
Like
insult?
to
Like
refer
the use
to
of it,
like,
yes,
like
as
the
the
character
counterpart of a
type.
Chad. Yes.
Yeah.
I just
We
wanted to put that in there.
We just missed the mark by a year.
I've never
Mm.
heard Stacy until Tenix said it just now.
Just
I was
that,
really
really?
like,
You're welcome.
yes,
What a
literally,
blessed
I've never heard that in my
existence.
life.
No, I don't
no,
know.
I-
I mean,
No, go
I
ahead,
think
sorry.
Karens are more like that's a term that people use more now, but Stacy's is just like it's a different version of it. It all generally equates to, like, I don't want to necessarily just be like white woman, but I mean, I don't know what else
No,
to
it's
say.
much
you
more
know?
No, I think
complicated
it's like
than
it's
that.
like those
Yeah.
It's
girls,
just
like
the
the
female
wrong
equivalent
kind of
of Chad,
girl.
right?
Yeah, no, it's a sexually confident woman who's beautiful
Yes.
and able to get what she wants, and
Yeah.
Is it
also
not
has
basically
mainstream
the
interests.
same thing as a stylish?
Yeah, like
Like,
Yeah.
it's the same word basically.
sure.
Yeah, same general connotation.
Sorry, let me clarify. Sexually confident and beautiful (parentheses derogatory).
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
yeah,
they did
yeah.
100% come up with stylish as a slur. Stylish
Mhm.
is a slur in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes.
Little bit of
God,
a
I don't even
tangent, but
remember what I was
I have
saying.
fallen in love with (parentheses derogatory) lately. That's one of the best little
It's great.
internet things that's happened in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. But we were talking about the special interest thing for like Tsukimi's special interest being like having an origin DM.
Right. Yes, we had a point.
Yeah.
And like
I think
I think like
Kimi's having an origin as opposed to everybody else. Like Tenek said before, like it is just kind of a main character thing.
mhm.
But I wonder if that's also probably just like the special interest of the author.
I don't care so
Oh,
much
quite
about the
possibly.
author, but it's an interesting question. But sorry, James, you
Yeah.
kind of got interrupted there.
I think it's like the I think the idea is that like it's not that the special interest itself has an origin in the sense of her mom introduced her to jellyfish and therefore she is interested in them. It's her mom introduced her to jellyfish. She became interested in them when she was introduced. And then over time, she started connecting her love of jellyfish to her love of her mother because they were both like the safe spaces that she retreated to because she didn't know how to engage with girls her age because
Mhm.
the only thing she was interested in was jellyfish and not things that girls are supposed to be interested in.
Right.
And so like her mother always just accepted this about her. And also her mother, when she was introduced to jellyfish, like told her these things. Like it's like they're connected not necessarily because of a causal effect, but because of a correlation that only like grew stronger as she
Mhm.
got older. And then her mother died, and so like everything her mother said ever now has an added amount of weight to
There
it.
we go. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, can
I do like
does
that.
someone remind me? Do we learn at any point like when her mom died? How
It was
approximate it
shortly,
is that?
I think it was shortly after the scene where they go to the beach to look at the jellyfish, like after the aquarium. We only
Mhm.
ever see her in two ages, like her current age and then the young flashback age, which I would guess is around like 8 years old.
Weirdly enough, it was like right after this 5-year-old kid opened the closet door while she was making out with some rich politician.
Um, because James was talking about the correlation, right, between the jellyfish and her mother and stuff like. I thought of another point where she is so into jellyfish and she equates jellyfish with being beautiful,
mm-hmm.
And femininity, and she got that from her mother, right? Kind of, you know.
Yeah.
But it is also the thing that is holding her back. Like, she does not think that she could be beautiful like a jellyfish because she is so obsessed with them. But that's what she thinks beauty
Like
is.
not seeing the forest for the trees.
Yeah, kind
Well,
of.
Yeah, because when she's making that dress with Ryunosuke, she thinks about how beautiful he looks in it. And because she doesn't have that same kind of body type and face structure and stuff, she can't fit that dress, and therefore she can't be beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that her self-esteem issues come from her obsession with jellyfish. I think that she's perfectly confident in how much she loves jellyfish and telling people about jellyfish. Like, her self-esteem is the only thing she ever brings up about it is her physical appearance.
Mm-hmm. No, I
Like,
don't think
not-
it's causal,
yeah.
but I do think that Tom pointed out a neat little detail.
Yeah, I think, like, I'm not saying it is the only reason,
Mhm.
but I think because for the most part she is brought down. She brings herself down by traditional beauty standards, right?
Mhm.
But the traditional beauty standards that she is getting, like, obviously it's from stylishes, but the thing she finds most beautiful are jellyfish,
Yeah,
right?
for
But
sure.
because she does not think she could be like one, it is a thing that it's a repeating cycle that she'll just keep putting herself down over and over and over again because of it.
Yeah, another thing is that like she clearly has like emotional regulation issues in general. And so like seeing jellyfish being like peaceful little creatures and
Yeah.
everything, it very much like she also in a way equates beauty to like composure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
In that very Eastern kind of way. Is that
Yeah.
Oh
racist
yeah,
to
I didn't think
say?
about that.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
think
think
that's
so.
just
I think I'm fine.
yeah.
That's like a notable feature that people will notice. I don't
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
What was I gonna say? I had a point about all of this. Yeah, I was going to bring up that scene in her dream. Because both of the dream sequences in this show, the big ones, were incredibly good. And maybe this is just my taste because I love me a trippy dream sequence. But the one that Jams brought up with the cabin by the sea was great. And the exact same thing happens to Tsukimi as well. When she's dreaming about floating among the jellyfish and just being happy and serene. And then Akiko swims up behind her and it's like, hey, you want to see it again? Yeah, right?
Oh god, that's such a visceral that's such a it's so visceral. It's such a visceral what's what I'm looking for. Portrayal of like intrusive thoughts and memories. I hate it. I love it. I hate it.
It's also stronger, like, because about how that dream specifically is one that she like kind of forces herself to go back to whenever she's anxious about something. Because like she showed how whenever she was young, she'd go home and read her jellyfish book and fall asleep and have that dream. Whenever she had a bad day at school, so she's like, let me go to my comfort zone by drinking a bunch of sake and having my jellyfish dream. It's like,
Well,
you know,
actually, she
whenever
tries
you
to have
go
a jellyfish
home
dream.
and you're like, I'm just gonna have a little bit of my comfort jellyfish dream. and then the horrid woman, and you're like, no, not here. This is my safe space.
Hold on. Let me look up. Wait, is this woman's name not Akiko? Have I been lied to? Why can't I find pictures of this woman anywhere on the internet?
Because she's horrible and no one wants to think about her.
Shoko? I think that you mean her, right?
The developer woman.
She doesn't deserve a name.
Oh,
She
Akiko is
deserves to
the
live in a
illustrator.
cage.
Yeah, I was like
It
trying
is
to look
Shoko.
up the name.
Shoko Inari.
I'm so sorry,
Miss
Ms.
Inari, that's what
Akiko.
they keep calling her.
Sorry, Akiko. Gomen asai. Shoko. Princess Jellyfish. That's what I was looking up.
She doesn't deserve to see the light of day.
No. I was remembering her character design a little wrong. I was remembering her a lot sharper. Like in a very pointed pantsuit.
She's very generic.
She's very
she's just
generic looking.
pretty businesswoman.
But like,
Which
the
might be
very
part of the point, but
intellectual
also-
and insightful point I was going to make was that her character design was very like sharp and pointy, which is the opposite of a jellyfish. So she really doesn't fit in that dream. But that's not true, so I can't say it.
She does have those like sharp nails.
I guess.
I like the idea.
Her eyes are drawn sharply.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
smokes
sure.
cigarettes, and jellyfish cannot smoke cigarettes because they are
therefore-
underwater and they don't have mouths or lungs.
Yes. That is quite different from how jellyfish behave.
Do not put a cigarette butt out in the tank of your jellyfish.
All those things are true.
But no, the dream sequence was incredible. Let's see. Kuranosuke is introduced in the most Kuranosuke way possible.
Up to it, shop
We
boy.
love that for him.
Shop to it, hot boy. Do we have anything else to say about episode 1? Because we're not going to get through all these episodes.
No, I really don't think
We're
so.
good.
Totally fine.
I don't.
Sukiyaki Western Matsusaka. Episode 2. Tsukimi has some trouble in the morning trying to keep the man, Kuranosuke Koibuchi, from being spotted by her housemates. Later that day, Kuranosuke shows up again, disturbing the residents who are not used to the presence of chic people. Sorry, just little word choices in these descriptions are really getting to me.
We don't want to use the slur.
Yeah, we can't call them the S word. Tsukimi is particularly troubled as she needs to keep her... Okay, that sentence fucked me up. Tsukimi is particularly troubled as she needs to keep his gender a secret. His over-friendliness rubs off the wrong way with the other residents, and they tell him to leave. As way of apology, Kuranosuke manages to get them some high-quality meat from his house, and it turns out that he is the son of a wealthy politician. Kuranosuke was horribly rude during this entire endeavor, but also so was everyone else. Like,
Yeah,
this is the episode that reminded me how terrible everyone in this show is.
Yeah. I feel like he still takes more of the blame. Like, what right did he have to impose on their house to, just come there and eat?
No, you're right. You're right. Well, like, I guess he wasn't invited by Tsukimi.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't.
He was not invited.
He just kind of came there, and that's it.
No, you're right.
You can't put the onus on him to, know to leave if they don't say, hey, we're having a dinner, and we didn't expect you to be here. Could you please leave?
Well, except insofar as he should know not to show up to their house uninvited.
Yes, it's true. That was his bad. But the next step is for them to communicate that that was bad.
Mm-hmm. Which they can't do.
Because, for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, my good friend Kuranosuke has just visited, surprise. As a surprise, here, let me just grab some extra food from the pantry. It's fine.
Yeah, it was for sure his bad, and then it slowly became everyone's bad.
Yep.
This is the first instance of
kind of overly mean. I don't remember the doll girl's name.
Let's look.
Don't know that one. I want to say Chio.
That sounds
but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Chiyoko?
Yeah.
Her saying, never come back here, no one here wants to be your friend, was too far.
And also not true.
Wow.
Kind of?
Yeah, also speaking for everyone, not cool.
Tsukimi definitely wants to be friends.
Chiyoko. So everyone along the way, everyone in that scenario fumbled the pass at some point.
But the residents of Amamizukan were particularly shitty about it.
Yes.
They were bafflingly ineffectual, and they're like, this is our sacred space, but also if someone comes in hey, I'm also here and I know nothing about whatever the situation going on is, but I want to participate. And they're very much it's they will stonewall people who they don't approve of when they're trying to apply for a place in the apartment, and then they will just sort of freeze up and expect the other person to get out until it has reached a point where they are being no one wants to be your friend, get out, which is a crazy cruel thing to say to someone who's just attempting to be friendly.
It's also extremely bold to go from I can't even look you in the eye or speak in your presence to leave, nobody likes you and nobody will ever like you. I can't imagine saying that to someone who I hate.
Well, I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about how the whole sisterhood dynamic makes them all worse people.
Yeah. I wonder
it's an insane overcorrection.
Yes. I wonder if if it was even somebody like them, would they be able to handle it?
I don't know that they think there is anybody like them.
Well, I mean,
I want to believe the best of them and say if they found another outcast... Well, okay, never mind. I'm wrong, because they just take Tsukimi in.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? So, they take Tsukimi in, right? She is an outcast. They empathize with her. They relate to her, right? It is specifically because they see a stylish here, right? And they can't handle that. But it's also because they were expecting like it to just be them for dinner.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if it was even like, are they even like, can they even regulate their emotions well enough to where if it was somebody like them, could they handle another person coming to dinner
Without an invitation?
without an invitation like that? Yeah,
I
that's
doubt
what
it.
I'm saying. Like,
I don't
yeah.
think somebody like them would go to dinner without an invitation. I think going to dinner, I think imposing yourself on someone else's dinner proves that you're not like them.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it just shows how their community has made them judgmental and shitty to people whom they perceive to be different in very, like, they see Kuronosuke's outfit and they say, this is a person who's not like me. And
Yeah.
that is not a good thing to do.
They even like don't accept being Tsukimi's acquaintance as like a pass for Kuronosuke to enter. Because Tsukimi's like, oh yeah, that's the girl that helped me save the jellyfish. You know, the thing that's extremely important to me. And that's not enough for Kuronosuke to
That's not
then
enough
get
for
like
them to like.
to get even invited to dinner for the evening because you're already here. You know, like just the fact that she is stylish is like, that's it. It doesn't matter if you get along with us. Get out.
Jams?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you had something to say. I'm sorry.
I don't think I did.
Okay.
I think Rhea summed up like anything that I could have scrounged up pretty well.
And then Kuronosuke did make it worse by coming back.
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah,
he brought meat, so it's okay.
Yeah, he was useful to them then.
It was quite literally
He
a
plopped
turnaround.
them with expensive gifts.
Yeah, no.
Well, even
like,
Tsukimi says like that's kind of fucked up, don't you think? Like she says you guys are so shameless.
No, like he absolutely should not have come back even to apologize. And why did he want to? They were terrible to him.
Because he wants to be friends with Tsukimi.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Because he
Sometimes
wants.
you have to be
He
civil
likes
to
the
bad
vintage
people
vibes
to
of
be
the
around the
building.
people that you like.
No.
No. But
No.
also, like, as an apology, like, to be like, it's supposed to be a gag. It is supposed to be funny, which it was. I thought it was funny. But it does say something about them to just immediately be like, well, you brought us expensive meat. We don't even care. Like, you can stay. Who cares? Because
they judge people for being shallow. They're incredibly shallow people.
Oh, absolutely, and they're materialistic. They're so wrapped up in their own material goods, that as soon as somebody,
their comforts, which their allowances allow them.
Yes, exactly. As soon as somebody is affording them more comfort, they don't care who it is.
Yeah, you've
like,
bought
sure,
your
you
way
can
into the
stay
group.
around. Exactly.
Please sit down.
Yeah, they're spineless.
Episode 3.
More about shame.
Episode 3.
So what's that?
Yeah. I just said, like, isn't it more like shamelessness? Like the way the Afro girl just says, "Oh yeah, you brought the beat. You can come here," and she has like no.
And I'm never gonna learn your name. I'm just gonna call you Meat.
But it's also the fact that they can't stand on their decision. Like they can't stand for their own rules and values and in their space, in their home. They're so easily bribed. Like it's spineless.
Precisely.
Right. Episode 3 is called Enchanted. While avoiding a family business meeting to visit the sisterhood, Kuronosuke makes a bad impression when asking about their income. Later, he secretly takes Tsukimi to his house and gives her a makeover, which he is not particularly happy about. As Tsukimi escapes, she catches the eye of Kuronosuke's brother Shu, who takes an interest in her and goes to return her clothes. While Tsukimi seems to also take interest in seeing him, Shu does not recognize her in her usual clothing. We haven't talked about Shu much.
Yeah,
not at all.
We have talked about his trauma
conversation about him
Nah.
for like 20 minutes.
It was a joke. I see.
But wait,
I
I
understand
think
now.
this. I have to admit,
I
this is
can't
like
tell
one of
with
the
him
most confusing.
sometimes.
You have to admit what, Tenek?
I didn't understand this premise of the show that like Shu didn't like connect the dots. He can't see that Tsukimi is the same person no matter whether she has makeup on or not. And like she clearly looks like the same person, right?
He's face blind.
Yeah, perhaps
Well,
he's face blind.
we know that as the audience and the viewer, right? But he does not know that at all because he has only seen one state of her, and maybe this isn't conveyed that well, but the two look so radically different.
Yep.
That they
Have you
that
never?
he
It's like,
thinks
have you
it's a
never
different
seen that?
person.
We can't tell the men that we can shapeshift, or they're going to tell the church.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, no.
I haven't seen that.
Well, the cat's out of the bag now. I guess good thing I watched this show. I wouldn't have known that otherwise.
I mean,
And it's
it's
also-
not like he's had time with her to like actually look at her and see, like, learn her face very well. So you see one woman with her hair done away, wearing glasses, and she's kind of a generic looking person. And then you see her again, hair different, no glasses, slightly less generic because she's done up with makeup. Like it would be easy to not tell that person is the same person, I think.
And it was also like the appearance of her coming out as like a little gremlin, like, right? Like, wasn't the whole
Yeah.
scene
Dressed
supposed to be like,
completely differently. Yeah.
yeah, and her acting like a little freak because of whatever was going on in the scene? I don't remember
They're just
exactly
playing
what
a
it
little
was.
zombie
one-
game.
The one that he does not get a pass for is
Mhm.
seeing her half out of the kimono that he was just on a date with her in.
Yeah, that
He
one
was
is
not
a little...
looking at her the entire time. Is the thing. Like, I don't think he's looking at the floor the entire time he speaks. Like, I think he just sees like that pattern is the same kimono. So I'm definitely talking to Sakimi.
No, doesn't he literally say
Yeah, he
like,
says she wasn't there.
yeah, she wasn't there, or like, oh, I'm sorry, you're not the person I'm looking for, and then he leaves?
That's why I'm
Like, a
saying
few
he doesn't
episodes
get a
after this,
pass because
though.
they were just out for hours in that outfit, and he
Mhm.
sees her half out of that outfit. Like, there's no way
okay,
to be
so-
like, oh, this must be a different person.
He
The order
recognizes
of
her by her
operations
hair, though.
goes.
That has to be
The order
it.
of operations goes that he sees her coming out of Kuranosuke's room this episode, and he's smitten with her. Then Kuranosuke's like, hey, like tells him all of these like appealing, like he spins Tsukimi into like being like he spins Tsukimi's existing qualities to be like this is definitely like a normal person who is not secretly a complete nerd who is in a very insular community of people who hate society.
Mhm.
And he and then they go on, and then he says, here, you should return her stuff to her, she left without it. And he's like, okay. He goes there, he says, I didn't see her when he because like because he sees Tsukimi like she has like washed off the makeup, because she's like, I can't believe he would play such a cruel prank on me and do a makeover. Which is crazy. It's crazy to me how like she has such low self-esteem. Not crazy as in like I can't believe it, but crazy as in like whoa. That she has such a negative opinion of herself, and the idea that she can never be like visually like aesthetically pretty. That the idea that someone would want to make her over, she's over here like, I can't believe that he would play such a cruel trick on me. Is like, wow. Like that's the thought process that she has as she's washing the makeup off, and then a little later, Shooten comes by saying like, I'm looking for Tsukimi. But like he's like a little freaked out by what's going on in front of him, and she's like, oh yes, and thank you. She doesn't say that she is Tsukimi. She's just like, thank you very much. Okay, thank you for returning the things. Bye. And then Kuranosuke goes, damn it. Okay, I want them to meet again. And so he makes her over again, and they go to see the jellyfish, and then the event where Shun goes, I'm sorry that I attempted to console you while you were crying happens.
The entire what the fuck is his last name? Kuranosuke Kui
Koibuchi?
Koibuchi. The entire Koibuchi family has a problem with apologies, and it's not the usual problem that men have with apologies.
Which is what?
The Koibuchi family is, they're very generous with the amount of apologies they give. And,
Oh, right.
And how freely they're handed out. Which
As
is the better
opposed to
problem
not
to
at
have.
all. Yeah.
Episode 4.
Okay.
Shall we? I'll see you in my aquarium. Kuranosuke learns Shu is planning to redevelop the Yamamizu-kan into a hotel in 2 years' time. Though is surprised none of the residents are too bothered, Kuranosuke decides to accompany Tsukimi to an aquarium and dresses her up again, convincing Shu to accompany them. As Tsukimi becomes fascinated by the jellyfish, Kuranosuke gets strange feelings from looking at Tsukimi. After changing into his male wear, he finds Tsukimi being embraced by Shu as she was crying from remembering her mother and feels jealous. After Tsukimi gets over it, she soon feels embarrassed by the hug. When she returns, she finds the resident manga author, Juon Meijiro, only has a week until her next deadline, so the others have to rush to ink pages. However, she loses her concentration following Shu seeing her in a tank top. Meanwhile, Kuranosuke is disturbed to find Shu is still a virgin. Kuranosuke is disturbed to find that Shu is still a virgin.
No,
like, that can't be right. That can't be right.
Yeah, Shu, his brother. He's not talking about Tsukimi.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I know.
Also,
Okay,
Kuranosuke did not change into male wear at the aquarium. He literally just took off his wig and his makeup. He was still in thigh-high boots. And, like...
What are you talking about? Holden wears thigh-high boots all the time.
Not with a heel. And, like, skin-tight purple jeans. That's what people were wearing in high school, too.
I think we've talked about everything in this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we talked about Shu being a virgin and all at length.
I'm not sure, did we mention, like, I especially, like, found amusing, like, Kuranosuke's obsession with the fact that his brother is a virgin. Like, it's not really any of his business, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of his business in the sense that, like, if you think your brother is having some kind of traumatic response to, say, an incident in childhood, and that's why he's not hanging out with women, like, that's kind of your business a little bit.
Yeah.
In the sense of, like,
you should check in and be like, hey, you're 30 years old and a virgin, and that's unusual. Are you okay? Okay, cool. Happy to hear it.
You're making on purpose.
He also, it seems like he wanted to, like, fuck with him a little bit, though, over it. So, like, wasn't that the whole point of bringing him out with Tsukimi? To be like, ooh,
No,
you know.
he found out the virgin thing after.
Oh, that was after
the date.
Okay.
That's how I remember it, too.
Yeah, I think mostly he was just like, my brother's kind of weird and nerdy. This girl is kind of weird and nerdy. Maybe they'll get along.
Yeah, it did.
And then they get along, and he's like, oh no.
You weren't supposed to do that.
Oh no, they weren't supposed to get along. I don't like that, apparently.
Yeah, alright.
Episode 5 is called I Want to Be a Jellyfish.
Me too, dog.
Chiyoko, the daughter of Amamizukan's manager, learns that her mother plans to sell the place and the residents will have to move out in a year. The sisterhood attends a presentation on the urban renewal project to protest where they run into Shu, who still doesn't recognize Tsukimi in her normal wear, but they quickly leave since they can't stand being stared at. When the project leader, Inari, assumes Shu plans to back the opposition, she takes him out. Bop, bop, in order to persuade him otherwise, which Tsukimi sees. Annoyed by their willingness to give up, believing it to be the reason Tsukimi is upset, Kuranosuke decides to give the sisterhood makeover so they can be taken seriously.
I know you just gave off the entire episode, but small tangent, because I don't remember which episode it was. Where does the weird Prime Minister uncle come in?
Probably
last episode. He was already introduced in episode 3.
Was that in episode 3? Okay.
Or 3, yeah.
The description started out with Kuranosuke goes to hang out with the sisterhood because he's avoiding a family meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because he bounced down the stairs and the uncle's like, oh my god, you're so cute. And then he's like, Gooby, I'm leaving.
Can I just say, I don't know why he reminded me of a South Park character. like he was like a Canadian from South Park with how like weird and over the top he was about literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
And just like there's a very specific type of like open, like sexually open with like yourself and other people that he was, that just reminded me of like a South Park character. I was like, what like he like an anomaly in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what he was on about most of the time.
Yeah, but he kind of, I think he adds something to the whole thing.
Oh, he does, absolutely. That's why I'm bringing him up, because we haven't talked about him at all, and I was just like, damn, he was something.
Mm-hmm.
He was a weird little dude.
Can I tell you what that something was? No.
I do really like towards the end, I don't remember what episode it is, but it's one of the later ones, where he runs into Shu at like the airport or something. And he's like, yeah, I'm the prime minister, but I did something that nobody likes, and now nobody's talking to me, so I'm just gonna go on vacation. Do you want to come? I was like, that's such a mood.
I do wish that I could just frivolously go on vacations whenever
Yeah.
something whenever something mildly negative happens.
If only
I'm not
our
helping everybody's
politicians
mad,
could
so I'm
frivolously go on
leaving.
vacation whenever something bad happened.
No, I just wish I could do it.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do it. I don't think they should get to do it.
Yeah, this is one thing that I really liked, is that when it comes to the urban renewal project and Kuranosuke going out of his way to say like, hey, you girls really need to get your shit together if you want anything done, and how they are just absolutely unwilling to consider that they maybe need to dress up to be taken seriously in modern society.
Yeah.
They do not want to contend with either the distressing thought of having like their house repossessed, and also they don't want to be like dealing with society's eyes on them at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they're
No.
still willing to engage in like completely embarrassing behavior
Yep,
in that room.
absolutely.
Well,
they
yeah.
are. Like,
That was really
The
cringe,
show-
that whole scene.
the show is very good at showing these 5 women being good to each other, mostly. And then it shows how that insular group makes them believe that they just don't have to participate in society at all, which is wrong. And it's good at that.
Yeah.
And I've already talked about that at length, so I don't have anything new to say now. But this is a great example of that.
Yeah, the show sure has that.
I do think
that's the
like
show.
Karnosuke kind of
Kind of what? Sorry, you cut out.
kind of takes it to an extreme with the makeover. Like the message is not you have to wear designer entire full face of makeup to be taken seriously. Like I think that's where Karnosuke's idea is a little bit also problematic.
Mm-hmm.
But like the idea of like, girl, just brush your hair and put on some slacks and don't be a weird little gremlin.
Don't wear a tracksuit and
Yeah,
start
don't
talking
wear a
about how Liu
tracksuit.
Bei would handle this situation.
Just this is a professional situation. Try to act a little professionally and look a little professional. Like that is not problematic, but that to them is bad as put on designer clothes and a full face of makeup.
So to that point, I kind of saw that as like, because they are so in one extreme, they need the other extreme to like get them out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they need, because they are so entrenched in their idea that like they can never look pretty, they can't, they can't be part of normal society because they can't look the way that society wants them to. The only way to drag them out of that is to show them the extreme of it being, let's get you all dolled up in makeup, let's put on wigs, let's, get the high heels going, let's go out on the town and get food and stuff like that. Let's be in society as conventionally attractive women, and you'll see you'll be fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's the right approach for them. I just think as like a greater message, it's also showing like Kuranosuke's not perfect.
Well,
if
let's
that makes
also
sense.
not pretend that there's not a selfish element in this for Kurenosuke too,
Oh yeah, for sure.
because he
Sure.
has a group of
He
5
wants to
dress-up
make them
dolls
over.
that he gets to play
Yeah.
with.
He says like episode 2, I don't want to hang anymore because they're already like baseline
Mm-hmm.
too pretty. They're not a challenge for me anymore. I want to hang out with these weird gremlin women.
Interesting.
All right, shall we go to episode 6?
About
Hey.
episode 5,
Oh.
because
Yeah.
this is the diner or whatever, we're at cafe scene.
Is it?
yeah.
The fancy restaurant.
Yeah, the fancy
Wait, I thought
restaurant.
that was at the
cafe
top of
place.
episode 6.
Was it?
Yeah, that is top
What?
of episode 6. No.
No, it's the end of episode 5.
I think it's
Whatever.
episode 5, right?
Oh.
Regardless,
No, it's
I just
it's
Yeah,
top
wanted
of
to
episode
say,
6.
whatever outfit that Kurnosuke was wearing during the cafe scene, where he's got the short hair and the beret and the nice, that was the cutest outfit.
That
he
is a
had.
cute outfit.
Very cute.
Episode 6, Night of the Living Sisterhood. Inari takes Shu to a bar and spikes his drink in order to take advantage of him at a hotel. Meanwhile, Kurenosuke takes the newly styled up sisterhood to a fancy cafe and treats them to some high-class food, and Kurenosuke is once again taken aback by Tsukumi's cuteness. As Shu recovers and believes he's been sexually assaulted, he makes a run for it. Kurenosuke later learns... That's one way to phrase that.
Believe.
Not-
It says.
Believes he's been sexually assaulted, makes a run for it.
I mean, he
He
does
says,
believe it.
please give me my pants. I'm leaving.
Kurenosuke later learns from one of the family employees Hanamori knows about Shu's phobia of women, which originated when he caught his father cheating on his mother with another woman, Kurenosuke's mother. Later, Shu briefly visits Tsukimi to shake her hand.
Okay.
Okay, so listen.
Dude was straight up sexually assaulted.
Yes.
That just was what that was.
And
Yeah.
again,
It's called
Explicitly-
everything.
No gray area. That is what happened to him, and it was horrible.
and again, Sho handles this very well. It's a very good portrayal of sexual assault.
Right, but just to be clear that we're all on the same page, the way I understood it is she just took off his clothes to take a picture which she can use as blackmail.
Yeah, she
whether
just
she actually-
sexually assaulted him.
Drugging him, taking her to her home, and removing his clothes is a sexual assault.
I don't think
I
Tennick's
think it was a
disputing that.
hotel.
But yes, just to be clear, we're
Yeah.
not saying she had sex with him.
Yeah, okay. Mm.
But no, I think that the show handles this entire plotline very well. And now that I'm thinking about this and Kurenosuke's entire character, I almost think this show has more nuanced portrayals of masculinity than femininity.
Interesting.
Please elaborate.
Because while the 5 main characters are women, and it does have stuff to say about the way they fit into society as women, the issues it gets most deeply into are male issues. It's sexual assault of a man by a woman, which is something that doesn't get talked about very much. And it's Kurenosuke's non-traditional gender presentation, which, again, as a man, is a male issue. Like, it does talk about femininity. I just think that the most intricate things that it gets into are men's issues.
Yeah.
The most like profound thing it's saying though with both of those is that whether you are male or female, no matter what or what your birth gender is, we all face the same sorts of issues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Like
I
it is
don't.
not a gender thing.
It's definitely not an accident that there's a male character who is sexually assaulted in this show that is all about like non-traditional gender situations.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think I don't know whether that's a byproduct though, because like obviously it is for Kurenosuke, it's on purpose, right? The non-traditional gender conforming, right? I don't know about Sho though. I think that might have just been a byproduct of, because again, like that's a type of thing where it is more vibes based, and I don't necessarily know if the show is saying anything about that, like it is with Kurnosuke and with the the sisterhood.
And
Like-
it's like sexuality and being sexually active is very much like a thing that is like pushed upon boys. I would
It's true.
say.
Yeah.
Like with girls, it's this weird, horrifying double standard. But with boys, it's very much like it's like obviously you gotta be a man or something. I don't fucking know. I wasn't a boy.
No, you got it.
No,
It's just like that.
Yeah, it's that. It's exactly like that. It's spot on.
No, I remember when my
But I feel
dad
like-
sat me down and said, "Yeah, you got to be a man."
I think that even if it's not saying anything with the assault, like the fact that it is showing it, and also having a very clear
cut out.
distinction, but the fact that it showed it at all, has it on screen and has a very clear distinction between who is the aggressor and who is the victim is enough. Like you don't have to take it farther than that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to
You
have
don't
some
have to
grand
say
point to
something.
make.
Yeah, okay.
But like, this is also making my brain spark a little bit, thinking that Kurenosuke and Shu are both very non-standard presentations of masculinity in different ways. Because while men in society are supposed to be like confident aggressors, like we're supposed to be very very self-assured go-getters, we know what we want and we know how to get it, we're ambitious, we're strong, all of that. Kurenosuke is extremely ambitious, well, not ambitious, but very confident, outgoing. He's the kind of person who's confident in himself, but he presents in a very feminine way, whereas Shu is the opposite. He's very meek, he lets other people direct his life wherever they want it to go, and he is a virgin at 30 years old, which is very not traditionally masculine. So he also, even though he doesn't seem to recognize it, shies away from traditional presentations of masculinity just like Kurenosuke does.
He also
think
is specifically taken advantage of by a woman who exhibits all of those traits that he should have.
A career woman, very prominent
Yeah.
in business, very confident, a go-getter who knows what she
also
wants and knows how to get it, who smokes,
extremely
which is
Call her
also
a
a
girl boss.
traditionally
She's a
masculine
girl
thing.
boss, okay?
Extremely feminine and
girl
confident
boss.
in her femininity to the point that she uses it as a weapon.
I think with Sho though,
Shu.
because I do or Shu, yes. I think with him specifically, I think he is very much a presenter of a more traditional Japanese man, who maybe traditional isn't the right word, like cliche maybe, where they are very,
Demure.
you know,
Archetypical.
soft spoken. I was not going to say demure, but okay, yeah. They are very soft spoken. They are very stoic. They are very, I mean, even like to the point of the virgin, right? Like Japan has a diminishing birth rate for a reason, right? Like there are things that
Yeah.
go on like
Because
that.
women
like,
are in the workforce now, they said.
But he like shoot like he is a politician, right? Has everything dictated for him. He does seem like a stereotypical like Japanese man in the workforce where he's not doing anything else except his job.
You're right, but look at his
So,
parents. No, look at his dad. His dad is that man. His dad is the one who is able to be the confident, quiet, stoic Japanese man, and he's the one saying, "Hey, what the fuck is wrong with Shu? Why isn't Shu going out there and getting women?"
Yeah, that's a good point. Yep. Yeah.
The dad
Shu.
is also all of those things, but very openly a womanizer as well.
Shu is trying to be that kind of man because he thinks that's what other people want him to be, and in ways he's good at it, and in ways he's not. Mostly, he's just awkward.
Yeah. I think it might also be a position of power type thing though, because should definitely exhibit. I mean, he says straight up, like, I am not important to the overall operation, right? My dad is, but he isn't. So I think he might be able to. Well, maybe I'm extrapolating a little bit, but I think because his dad is top brass, he can get away with being a womanizer. And Shu sees he can't because in his or rather, Shu thinks he can't be as with his interactions with Inari. At least that's how I would read it.
No, I definitely get that. But again, that just goes back to what I was saying before about how he doesn't fit into that archetype for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'm also like bopping over to in my brain like later episodes. It's like Ryunosuke's mom specifically says like if you had been born a girl, your father would probably understand that you should stay with me, right? And it's this idea that like if he were born a girl, then number one, his interests would be like endorsed as opposed to just like his interest in fashion and pretty things and just like general feminine presentation would be actively endorsed by the people around him. And number two, like he actively would not have been taken from his mother if he were like not expected to like be like to be a man TM where like it's where like if he is expected to be a man TM, he is expected to like go after like power and like disrupt whatever the fuck is going on with his dad. And he's over here like, I'm not trying to do that, and you have trapped me in this house with you and cut me off from my mother. And I don't like you or anyone here,
and nobody will ever want to be your friend.
Can I just get some clarification on that plot point?
Sure.
Because I found it kind of unclear while watching the show. What actually happened with him and his mother? Why are they not living together?
It doesn't really explain it.
His mom was not his wife. He was the product of an affair. And the way I took it is that he wanted to keep him close because he's a boy, but he could not keep them both. So he took the son and shipped the mom off somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because they never really give.
Wife was already dead, right?
Yes,
No.
but that doesn't mean he has carte blanche to remarry some woman that he had a baby with.
She's also an actress, which is
he's
a
politician.
low-class profession.
What do you mean that's a low-class profession?
I mean, it's a lower-class profession. It's for shitty poor people.
It's like a profession for like in effect like it's like the difference between political job and acting job is very different. Especially since like it's clear that like as a
I said it's not a good match for a politician.
Yeah, that.
In that sense, yeah, okay.
I would like to ask though, is Kuranosuke's like the whole family? Do you think they would probably be in support of if he just wanted to be a fashion designer and not dress up as a woman? Do you think they would still probably be in support of that at least? Because like I don't know, I never got the impression that they were down on the whole fashion thing. I think they were down on him dressing up as a woman and being quote unquote like an embarrassment.
Well, I mean my impression was that the problem is that he's not gonna be fit for politics this way, and that's what he should be fit for, because they need like a potential heir, I guess, like if Shu doesn't work out or something, or even just having more people.
No, I think it's just that he wants Ryunosuke to be a respectable person and like unimpeachable as a person, and he doesn't care what Ryunosuke. It's like he does not care what Ryunosuke does with his life, so long as it does not interfere with whatever his political machinations are. And having a son who cross-dresses is an embarrassment. And having a son who is a fashion designer might not be an embarrassment, but I don't think he would approve either. I think he doesn't fucking care. I don't think he doesn't give a fuck.
Hmm. Okay. I was just curious.
I think it's a little more complicated than that. I think if they were given the opportunity now for Kuranosuke to be a fashion designer, they would jump on it. But I think if Kuranosuke just came to them as like a 15-year-old and said, hey, daddy, papa, I would like to design dresses for a living, they would say, no, you're going to go to lawyer school like your brother.
Mm.
Wait, so your hypothesis is that they care less now that like he's a student?
Well, they would love
No,
it
no,
now
no,
if the alternative is him going around dressed up like in a dress, and he said, hey, instead of dressing up in a dress, I would like to make a dress. They would say, yeah, that's great. You can make a dress.
Now that he
Just
is
don't
technically
wear a
an
dress.
adult. Yeah.
So, wait, we agreed that Kuranosuke is a child out of wedlock with
yes.
her mom, but then they also established that the Kuranosuke's dad never had sex with her.
Not at the moment that Shu walked in.
Yeah.
I mean, they had
Right,
to
I
have
mean,
at some point for Kuranosuke to be born, but that's not what Shu walked in on.
Right, because I understood it as like a general claim. Like when he was talking about that, he said that never happened. Like we never made it to second base. Period.
Mm-hmm. No,
In that
that's
closet
impossible.
in front of Shu.
In that, I mean, unless we're talking about Virgin Mary coming back, like, no.
Well, because that was
I
in
never
a
made
scene
it to
where
second base,
Kuranosuke
but I
was
did
like-
do IVF with my mistress.
That was in a scene where Kuranosuke went up to the dad and was like, I know what you did. You messed up your son. And he was like embellishing that story. He was like, you guys were just doing it in front of him all the time. Even though he knows that's not what the story was. Like, he was just embellishing that to make the dad upset or to feel bad. And the dad was like, that's not even what happened at that moment.
Okay.
That's what that
Never even made it.
Yeah, I mean,
conversation
that does
was.
make more sense. Like on the whole. Can I bring up something else about episode 6? Or no, I mean really just about the whole series that we didn't mention. The Mercedes-Benz guy.
Yeah.
Yes, him!
What a
I
wonderful
wanted to
man.
mention him. I love him dearly.
Yeah. Really funny.
Very funny.
Mm-hmm. Okay, does everybody know what they are going to propose for next month's anime club?
So we're going
Yes.
with the like obscure mediocre theme, right?
Yes, we are wanting the middest possible anime.
Bring in some
Yeah.
mid heat, bro.
So just a classic 5 out of 10 show. Okay. But yeah, the question is just, does everybody know, or do I need to allot time for people to find it?
I have an idea, yeah.
Okay. In that case, does anybody have any closing thoughts on Princess Jellyfish? Anything we want to talk about?
I
No,
think
don't
it's really
so.
beautiful. Just the moment where, like, Tsukimi finally gets to the place in the dream, so to speak, where she's like completely freed of anxiety, and it only happens when Kuranosuke picks her up and takes her back to her bed, and I think that's really cute and beautiful. It's like this idea that like they are finding like the connection they had to like the safety that they found in their mothers is the thing that they are finding in each other like later in life. Like it's like Kuranosuke is still searching for his mother because he knows she's out there. Tsukimi's mother is dead, and so she's like, and so but she still talks to her mom like in an internal monologue, and it's like this idea that like the connection between these two people is like this idea of like they love like they I don't know how to explain it in words. It's all very vibes based, but I like that. I like a vibes based thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very good. It makes my heart happy.
No, that was an excellent scene. Tenik, do you have anything you'd like to say about the show?
Actually, I have quite a few things. I feel like in general, I didn't speak that much on this stream because most of my issues lie with the second half. And I would say, like, after episode 6, like, by episode 6, I remember being like, oh shit, I'm really invested in the show. I kind of like everything that it's set up, where it's gonna go. And then, like, the last 5 episodes happen, and I felt kind of disappointed because it felt like it was meandering, and like the whole relationship between Shu and Takimi never goes anywhere. And like, I don't know, it went from being a show that I was kind of glad won, so I could discover something like new and nice like this, to just another fine show that we've watched that I'm not sure is gonna like leave a big impression on me.
No, I definitely agree with that the ending was pretty badly handled.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't mean just the ending. I mean, like, basically the whole second half of the show.
I don't think I'd go that far, but I think the last couple of episodes definitely needed a big rework, especially if they knew, which I don't think they did, but if they knew halfway through production or so that they weren't going to get a second season.
Yeah,
Also,
you never know with stuff like that.
Well, you can know. Sometimes you know.
No. I mean, for us as the audience.
Anyway, one last nitpick that I want to bitch about, since we won't be able to get to it. The plan to make up the money, to earn the money to pay for the residence they live in. I mean, that's definitely a good example of like where I felt the show was jumping around, because instead of like sticking to something consistent, they jump around a lot of different plans. And definitely the stupidest one I thought was the one about selling the jellyfish rain charms, because they're selling them at like $500.
Yeah.
Like making them all by hand, and no one can just think through the basic math that like you would require tens of thousands of these to make up like a fraction of the money you need.
They quote like a $3 million price tag as their goal, and like, first off, the rain charms are nothing. You're never gonna get anywhere near that. But then he brings up the dress, and like, yeah, fashion designers, famously rich people.
He also has no idea how much the building actually costs, and he says as much. Funny. He's like, how much could it be? This much? This much? And then he just arbitrarily picks a goal, which is, yes, it's hilarious. I think that it's charming because they're all kind of dumb parentheses affectionate.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's also a rich asshole who doesn't know how much things cost to begin with.
Who's also kind of dumb parentheses affectionate.
Yeah. And I think they were also just kind of desperate. Parentheses desperate, because like it's not like we're gonna lose our house. We have to make some money. Like, let's try doing anything.
I think if you don't look at it narratively as a plan that is supposed to work, and instead look at it as the desperate grasping at straws that it works a lot better.
It felt very much like little kids trying to raise money for something and jumping from idea to idea every day.
Which is like, what all these people are.
Yeah, if you've ever had something like that as a kid, like, I need to raise this money for Legos and I only have this much time, like, that's really how it feels.
I need to raise this money for Legos
I had a terrible scheme to watch How to Train Your Dragon 2 that somehow worked.
All right. Darling wife.
And last nitpick.
Sorry. Yes, Tennick. Sorry, honey. You can keep going.
Last nitpick. They could have easily upmarked the price for those rain charms as well, right? Like, they sell them for 500 yen. But that's like the first price that like someone suggested to pay for it, if I remember right. They could have easily like tried to make it 5 times higher, and I imagine like it would still sell as well. But just because it looks nice.
Would you sell at least 20% as many? I don't know.
I don't know. I guess that it does become a math problem at that point. I can't say anything right away based on that.
I can't
anyway, Maria.
Personally, I can't see anybody paying $10 for one of those, but
you never know, it's a flea market.
Lovely Mariah.
Yeah.
Darling wife.
Yes, that's me, hello. Last remarks?
Yeah, last remarks on Princess Jellyfish.
I just think that this is a very special and pretty show in a lot of ways. And it's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm glad I got to watch it with you guys.
Sorry, Tennick, your score out of 10?
6.
Darling wife?
I don't know if you will want to crucify me over that, but
no, that's fine.
It is
Darling
what it is.
Probably like an 8.
Yeah. James?
I'm giving this a Danny out of 10, which makes sense to mostly me.
You got it, Danny. Tom, closing remarks on Princess Jellyfish.
Closing remarks. This was something that I've been meaning to get to for a while. I'm glad I did. This was a good show. Did not go the way that I thought it would, but I was pleasantly surprised. This was a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, very good. As for me, I think that it's a show that had a lot of very important topics it wanted to get into, and I think it handled many of those topics in a nuanced and interesting way. I think it failed a little bit in the plot, especially in the later half of the show. The characters needed more time. It needed a second season very badly to wrap up everything it started, and I'm pretty sure it lands at about a 7 out of 10 for me.
That's fair.
All right. Mm-hmm. For next month's Anime Club, we are going to be doing the middest of the mid. We're looking for a perfect 5 out of 10 show, preferably, for me, one that we've never seen before. And I found something that I'm actually very excited about. It's called Kinpatsu no Genie. Let me just read you this synopsis real quick. During the Civil War, a girl living in Virginia named Jeannie waits for her old boyfriend Robert to marry him according to a childish promise. But the war makes the things complicated, and Robert comes back as a northerner soldier. Only with the conflict's end and many misadventures, their dream will become true.
Do we even have to vote? Can we watch this?
I want to see this. I will watch this anime if it doesn't win.
Holy shit. That sounds awesome.
I can't wait to see how fucking racist this is. There is no way this passes the bar.
When is this from? Do you know what this is
let's
from?
see here. This is 1979.
Oh my god.
Let me make sure this has subtitles on a certain website. Because if it doesn't, I will never forgive them. Let's see here.
We should probably also check if it has all the episodes.
It does. It sure does. But I didn't check to make sure it actually had subtitles. It's listed as a sub. That's subtitles right there. Episode 1 does. Episode 13. Hold on. We're getting there.
Dun dun. Dun dun.
Come on. Somebody speak. Oh, I don't like these men marching through the dark with lanterns. Ooh, what are they doing? Man, it's lasting a long time. Somebody speak. God damn it. Oh, this is wonderful. This is gonna be great.
Where did you find this?
I looked at the anime on Mal that was ranked number 10,000 and just searched around there for something that looked fun. Well, nobody spoke before the video crashed. So, yeah, there are subtitles on episode 13. So I'm going to assume they all have them. It has a 5.97 on Mal. And it's totally possible to find it online.
Okay.
What's it called again?
It's called Kinpatsu no Genie, and I will put a link in the Discord.
Okay. Whatever.
All right.
I'll just take the link.
Tenek.
I'm gonna elect the same thing I did 1.5 years ago. Hakaba Kitaro, Graveyard Kitaro.
But that's not a mediocre show. That's a classic.
You think that's a classic?
It is. It's a very influential anime.
Series.
I've never heard of this anime in my life.
I guess of a franchise, yeah.
Gegege no Kizero? Yeah, that's a very popular show.
Can I elect Tomodachi Life? Tomodachi Game?
Tomodachi Life.
Yeah, Tomodachi Game. That works fine. That one was
You didn't
totally
like it?
mediocre. Darling wife, you said you weren't gonna do one.
Not because I just showed up as a one-off last time, and then my random pick won, so I don't want that to keep happening. Not that I don't like hanging
You
out
think
with you guys,
you're
but
so
I'm technically
confident-
not a patron.
You're so confident in your ability to win.
She has
No,
very good
I
taste.
just don't want it to happen again on the off chance.
By accident.
Plus, if she
We're not rolling those dice.
if she named one, then I wouldn't get to name one, and then we wouldn't get Kinpatsu no Genie.
Yeah, there's also that.
Jams, what you got?
I'm going with the Royal Tutor.
The Royal Tutor. All right,
When I remember, it was quite mediocre aside from the animation,
fair
which
enough.
was very shiny and pretty.
I've never heard of it by name, at least. Wow, I say that Gegege no Kitaro is a classic, and here I am, number 10,055 on Mal is Gegege no Kitaro, the 1985 movie.
It can be influential and not be great.
Yeah, Evangelion is
Yeah,
hugely
like
influential.
Wait.
Yeah.
No. We're not gonna be talking about Evangelion.
We got
now.
we got 10 minutes. We don't have time to
talk
get
about
into
it.
this.
He's right.
All right, Tom,
That's
what's your
10
pick?
minutes I'm ready to fight for, okay? My pick is 2.43 Sein Koko Danshi Volleyball.
Yep, I remember this one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2.43. What?
Yep. I have seen the first episode of this before. It's not Haikyuu.
Oh,
Dude.
it's We Have Haikyuu at Home.
Yep.
It's not even that. Oh my god, it's not even that.
Oh my
literally-
gosh.
I don't remember this show's. I had to look up this show's name because in my head it's called Over the Top. Because one, much better name for volleyball,
It sure
and
is.
two, it is just the most melodramatic. It's one of the most melodramatic shows I've ever seen in my life.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so interested in that.
No, I do remember watching this and just thinking, wait, this is a show about volleyball featuring a ginger kid and Kageyama.
Yeah,
That's
Like-
just sports anime.
That's
There's
true,
always
but
a Kageyama
but-
and a ginger kid.
as true as that is, but this one has analogs for like every Haikyuu character and it's volleyball.
yeah.
All right.
Also,
Also-
it leans into more of the BL that everybody wanted out of Haikyuu.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is just a fan project.
I do
that
think
someone
Haikyuu
who
is
really
better
loved
without the BL
Haikyuu,
of the
but was
stories
really
that have
mad.
point.
Could be. Okay. So, next month, we have 4 lovely suggestions for totally mid anime. And I'm hoping to see you there. So, if you enjoyed this stream, feel free to come back. What, Tenek?
So just to be clear, we talked about it in the Discord. The terms are the pick with the nominee with the least votes wins, right?
Tenek, you can't say
That's the
that.
one we watch.
We've said before,
Oh.
you can't just say it on the stream.
You can't say it on the
Oh,
stream,
fuck.
Tenek. That ruins everything.
That ruins the bit.
Well, I'm
That-
sorry.
That ruins
We
the bit,
talked
Tenek.
about
You
it
can't
last
say
time,
that.
so I assume. But to be entirely honest, I don't think it's gonna affect the rankings.
I don't think so either. All right. So we're gonna have a totally normal vote for our anime club. We have 4 mediocre picks. Please vote for the one that you would like to see us talk about most. Wink. All right. Thank you all for coming. If you would like to come next month, it's going to be the last Sunday in April, as always. If you want to get in on this Discord call yourself, you can go to patreon.com/explanationpoint. That is in the description below. Thank you all for coming, and I will see